Patriot League champion Colgate, fresh off its opening round upset of New Hampshire, looks to keep it going today in round 2 of the FCS championship at high-flying James Madison out of the Colonial Athletic Association. It's the Raiders and the Dukes next. The NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. Welcome to Bridgeforth Stadium as today the James Madison Dukes host the Colgate Raiders in an NCAA FCS second round matchup. Action already underway around the country in this second round of the championship. The winner of this football game will take on the winner of tonight's game between Sam Houston State and McNeese State. And welcome everybody to Harrisonburg, Virginia. Doug Sherman along with 3-time Super Bowl champion Matt Chatham. So glad you could be here today to see if Colgate can extend its winning streak to 7, but to do so they'll have to slow down JMU.
Yeah, what an amazing opportunity for these kids from Colgate. Come from a tiny school, get to play in an environment like this against a talented JMU team that's actually knocked off a BCS opponent in SMU this year. They just need to keep themselves rolling.
Well, the Raiders are going to need a big performance out of their quarterback, Jake Melville, very efficient out there.
Yeah, Jake Melville has a little of that Jake Plummer in him. He's really slippery. He makes a lot of great decisions. He's good with the ball in his hand on the move, and he's really been great at just simply getting downhill and not making mistakes. He's the leader of this group, someone that doesn't get phased.
The Dukes, meanwhile, are going to have to make do without Thad Lee, their all-conference quarterback, out with a broken foot, so in steps Brian Shore.
Yeah, one of the most explosive offenses really all of college football. Brian Shore just needs to come in and keep things rolling. He's a guy who's really more of an upright player, has some wheels to him, can still run this offense very effectively, but obviously there's going to be a drop-off in the absence of Thad Lee.
Shore will lean heavily on the talents of his running backs, including Cardin Johnson. James Madison and Colgate face each other next. We'll have the opening kickoff here on ESPN3. Moments away from kickoff between Colgate and James Madison for a spot in the quarterfinals of the 2015 FCS Championship. Here's a look at how Colgate and JMU plan for success, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Well, offensively, Dan Hunt's group just has to play smart. Play smart football. That's so important on the road in an environment unlike anything they usually see in the Patriot League. You need to play smart. You can't hand the ball over to the other team and get yourself sort of behind the 8 ball with a raucous crowd. Defensively, well, we're going to flip over here to JMU. They got a little bit tempo. We know that about them. They love to play quick. This is Chip Kelly of the FCS, and no death by 1,000 paper cuts. That's because Colgate likes to get it iteratively down the field. 3-yard game, 3-yard game, 3-yard game, and eventually hit you with the big one.
Sun-drenched football field here this afternoon on a perfect afternoon for college football. Temperature right around 50 degrees. Tyler Gray will kick things off for JMU, and you saw the return man staring straight into the sun, trying to make sure he handles it cleanly. Coming out of the end zone across the 10 to the 15. Got some room up the sideline. Pretty good return to start the ball game for Colgate. And we are underway as John Mataluna gives Colgate position at the 28-yard line.
Yeah, actually a really nice return there to start things off. I mean, that's your concern as a smallish program coming out here to play in this giant venue. How are they going to respond the first time the pads get a click? There were a lot of opportunities there to make some plays. Take a look here at the Colgate quarterback, Jake Melville, as I mentioned, sort of an analogous guy from the NFL. Jake Plummer, he's slippery. He's going to run the football. He's going to make some plays on the move. His decision-making beyond his years.
He is second team All-Patriot League. And he takes the first snap of the afternoon. Screen pass left side, blown up nicely by the corner, Taylor Reynolds. There's a look at the Colgate offense. Russell, Greenwald, Mataluna, who we saw on the return, Ives and Quazza, good diversity as they throw the football. This is a ground and pound team, though. That offensive line is going to need to dominate the line of scrimmage if Colgate is going to have success here today.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to win on the inside. That was so important for them against UNH. Really winning all those things that go on between the hashes.
On second down, Good solid pickup of 7 or 8 yards by James Holland. There's the JMU defense. Up front, Mosley, Robinson, and Gates. All conference performers, especially Mosley. He's one of the captains on the defensive side. And keep your eye on Taylor Reynolds, who we already saw make the tackle, the junior from Newark, Delaware. First team All-CAA. 3rd down and 5 for Colgate on its first possession. Design run up the middle. Melville, he's still on his feet. Down at the 45-yard line.
Yeah, designed run there, Doug. Really slippery, as I mentioned. Can't beat Jake Melville. He puts his plant foot back, and then he shoots straight downhill. He's reading this offensive line just as a running back would. He has to wait for the gap to declare and then get down in a hurry and take the hit just like a running back would.
Big hit by Andrew Enkra, sophomore from Gaithersburg, Maryland. It's a first down for Colgate at its own 46-yard line. In the backfield for Colgate, you'll see a mix of James Holland, Demetrius Russell, and John Wilkins. Swing pass, and a gain of 4 on first down for Colgate. And that's kind of the game plan for the Raiders. They don't necessarily want to pick up 15, 20 yards every time. They're just looking for 3 or 4 to get themselves going.
These little lateral passes, Doug, ostensibly work as run game. You know, that's almost like just a long handoff. You'll see the safeties for JMU sitting at 8 to 9 to 10 yards. They don't do much to scare them into the deep part of the field. As you mentioned, just 3 yards here, 4 yards there, 5 yards, and then occasionally Jake gashes them.
2nd down and 6. Melville by himself in the backfield. Through the hands of his intended receiver, Alex Greenwald.
Now, ball control here is such an important issue with Colgate. They really want to dominate that time of possession. JMU on the other side, because they play so quickly, the volume of plays that they get in the short amount of time they have the ball is so important to them. They try to get that play volume number up high. Colgate, they want to win the clock. They want 3-yard gains, 4-yard gains, and wait for your mistake.
3rd down and 6 from midfield. Melville drops back, flush from the pocket, puts it up down the right sideline. He's got a man caught at the 10-yard line, and out of bounds at the 5 is Thomas Ives, a freshman from Hinsdale, Illinois, who until last week's upset of UNH had not caught a single pass all year.
Yeah, exceptional point, Doug. We didn't know much about this Ives guy going into last week, and he was really the offensive story of the game other than Jake himself. As we mentioned, sort of getting these secondary members back deep. They lull you to sleep. It's all this short stuff and short handoffs and short, quick passing game, and occasionally they'll hit you with the long one.
A 45-yard pickup for another first down. In the red zone, Colgate. 1st and goal. The give to Holland. And he is dropped inside the 5 for a gain of maybe 1.
Yeah, James Holland was really, again, from the running game standpoint, the story for Colgate a week ago. It's been a committee-type group. Obviously, Demetrius Russell's had a big year. James Holland a big year. We'll even see some of the thicker guy, John Wilkins. But Coach Hunt likes to go with a hot hand, and a week ago, that was James Holland.
And Holland is in the backfield, sophomore from Royal Palm Beach, Florida. Coach said he was practicing in short sleeves this week up in central New York despite the snow. He's a Floridian who doesn't mind this cold. Lobbed into the end zone and incomplete. Good coverage on the corner.
Nice ball by Jake here. Great coverage, as you mentioned. It's open. He high points the ball, but the nice strip on the way down. You get up into that pocket, tear the ball away. That's still a great way to make a play and get a red zone stop.
Rashad Robinson, freshman from Richmond, Virginia, on the defensive stop. So that brings up 3rd and goal. And the way Colgate plays, without much of a kicking game, they are really a 4-down team, especially inside the 5-yard line. Triple receivers to the left. Melville throws right. Incomplete. So that will bring up 4th down and 4. And well, it looks like the kicking unit is going to come onto the field, and Jonah Bowman has not attempted a field goal in 4 games. His last make of a field goal came back on Halloween against Fordham. This is part of the game you just don't see.
Yeah, it's an unusual circumstance, and understanding that JMU scores like really anyone in college football. You can't get all the way down here and leave points on the field. Got to get this through.
Kick is up. And it is good. An impressive opening drive for the Raiders of Colgate, champions out of the Patriot League, riding a 6-game winning streak and trying to ride their way into the quarterfinal round. The NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. A 10-play, 69-yard scoring drive nets a field goal for Colgate. The big pass play from Jake Melville, 45 yards to his freshman Thomas Ives. And from there, the Raiders get on the board first.
Well, the story there is that it's a broken play. Obviously, if you're defending against Jake Melville and you've watched a good amount of tape here of the Colgate Raiders, you know that you have to contain him in the pocket as well as keep him from hitting these downhill gaps in a run game. He had a big run on the ground for a third down conversion. He had a big completion outside the pocket. Those are probably the two things you're trying to take away when you face Jake Melville.
Now James Madison having to make do without its primary kick returner, and Dean Cheatham loses the football, and it's a huge turnover. Big break for the Raiders.
Yeah, huge turnover, and that we talked about the importance of smart football in this game, and Colgate really needing to play that kind of ball. There's no easier ball to catch in the game of football than a kickoff, especially when the sun isn't a factor. The sun here is actually at the returner's back, so he's got full go. Maybe just a little excited in the playoff moment, has his eyes upfield a little too soon. But it goes right through the pocket and out into the lap. Dean Cheatham picks it up for a huge change of possession here. Colgate knows who they're playing against on the other side. Accumulating points is of the most importance. JMU is very capable of putting up 40 or 50. You get a gift like this in the red zone, you have to convert it.
And this was the game plan coming in. Control the football and play from in front. And if you're Colgate, it couldn't have started any better. Inside give. Holland dropped it about the 9-yard line. Xavier Gates making his second tackle of the afternoon.
Well, our point earlier from the death of 1,000 paper cuts idea is really sort of this inside running game. And I'd still call that an inside run because it hits about the C gap. You're not going outside the tackle box. But they have an ability here, does Colgate, to just simply get that 3- and 4-yarder. Those 3- and 4-yarders start becoming 1s and 2s. You press them into a passing game forced that they really don't want to be in throughout every down.
Holland again hit hard just at the 10. He's near a first down. Alex Mosley, captain from Highland Springs, Virginia, making the hit.
And we sort of talked about this a little bit between the break, but one of the things I noticed that JMU came out in differently than you usually see them. They're more of a 3-4 team in base. They've gone 4-man line, which is comparable to what UNH actually runs. 4-man line, 3 guys off the ball, but not in that kind of front now, deep low here. But it is a bit of a wrinkle from what you see them in typically.
Third down and less than a yard. Again, they go to Holland. Quick dive. He stood up, but he keeps moving those feet. And it appears that he has gotten there. Gage Steele, the inside linebacker, the Mike linebacker, was trying to keep him from getting to the 8-yard line.
Well, I think the one quality you see here in James Holland is his extra effort, his ability to keep the plays alive, sort of a Deuce Staley kind of thick-legged, short guy that gets in there and continues to plow away. It's that extra little effort that converted that sequence of downs for Colgate.
And Matt, Colgate already 3 for 4 on third down conversions, so it's first and goal. Holland again takes the initial contact and keeps going for a pickup of 2. Kyrie Hawkins with the tackle.
You mentioned before, Doug, this is really an area where Colgate has to win. I mean, they have to be a team that can convert here in the low red area because they're so good at these 3- and 4-yard plays. The fact that they're backed up against the wall, the defense is more compressed, that shouldn't change things because that's generally how teams approach them defensively out in the field. You don't see safeties at 15 yards. They're used to this environment. They're used to getting 2, 3, and 4 yards whenever they want it.
And if they get it here, they'll be on top 10-0. Second down and goal from the 3. Holland up the middle. Touchdown, Colgate. Well, a week ago against UNH, James Hollins scored 4 touchdowns, 1 in each quarter. He's already got one here in the first today.
Call this a part of Jake Melville's decision-making as well. He puts it in his gut. They have that read option element just to keep it in James' hands and get him heading downfield. It hits so quickly that as a defensive lineman, it's so tough to get off and make that play. It puts the onus on the linebacker group to hit him and not have him fall forward. That's a tough job.
On for the extra point. Once again, Jonah Bowman, who a moment ago we saw kick a short field goal. Now we hear that that play is under video review.
Well, he keeps the legs churning as they did in some of the other plays. We got a lot of shadows down here on this south end zone, so he's in the dark. I don't know if there's enough evidence there to overturn whatever it is they might be looking at. If a knee was down, he clearly scored there. I mean, again, you're looking at it in a banked angle, so it's not enough there to overturn what was already called a touchdown. It's just simply, does he break the plane? It's not a matter of did he go to the ground or anything. It's just, do they have that sort of ball over the goal line kind of situation.
And both of the officials who had perfect views from the goal line came charging in simultaneously, saying he had broken the plane. And indeed, the video review says that it stands, and so Hollins' 14th rushing touchdown of the season makes it 9-0 Raiders.
And we talked about sort of a little bit of front change that JMU used. I like them as a base 3-4 team, which is what they can run as well. I think when you have symmetry, when you have linebackers that are balanced on both sides, you can scrunch down those interior defensive linemen and the 3 that are a part of the 3-4. They really need to learn to take away some of those inside gaps because these downhill runs are killing.
After missing a pair of PATs last week against UNH, the first one here today is good. Colgate, a decided underdog with the early 10-point lead. Against SMU, Vadli was tremendous. The Colonial Athletic Association Offensive Player of the Year helped lead the Dukes to an upset of the FBS Mustangs. He was the man who makes things go around here, but as you can see, a broken foot suffered against Richmond has changed those plans dramatically.
Yeah, we saw Vad out in pregame. He went out for the coin toss. He's still a leader on this group, but Brian Shore has to pick up where Vad left off, and they've still been an efficient offense in the games that Brian has played. But are they putting up 40 and 50 points before? Not so much. At this point, though, there's not much he can control if Jake Melville's guys have got the ball. Can't have the turnover issues, obviously.
And there is Vad on crutches now. He did go out for the opening coin toss as one of the 4 captains for James Madison. But he is still months away from being healthy. Not sure if he's even going to be ready to go for their pro day. But he certainly has aspirations of playing in the NFL next year and beyond. Brandon Ravenel. This time he fields it cleanly from the 5 across the 20 to the 25. Tripped up at the 28-yard line. And so now James Madison's offense will come out for the first time onto the field, trailing already 10-0.
Yeah, you don't normally see this kind of situation where we're this many minutes into the game and the JMU offense has got their first touch of the ball, but such it is. So credit Colgate to taking advantage of what grace they were given by the fumble of the kick return, but now it's that opportunity that they put in front of them to get a little bit of a pad. They need a defensive series.
And there's a look at Brian Shore, sophomore from Milford, Pennsylvania, out of Delaware Valley High School. And again, he is replacing Vad Lee, but he has played quite a lot this year. It's not like he has not gotten out there. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's completed 61% of his passes. And on the jet sweep, James Madison has itself a gain of about 3. There's the JMU offense, and we don't have a lot of time to show you this graphic because they want to snap the football just as soon as possible. They say between 15 and 17 seconds of when the official sets it onto the turf, and here they go. Shore completes the pass. Had 1 man to beat, but it's just a short gain of 2. Here's the Colgate defense. Pat Afriye. He has 9.5 sacks this year, 17.5 tackles for loss. Very disruptive sophomore from Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Keep your eye on number 37. There's a good look at the quarterback, Brian Shore. James Madison in his home purple uniforms. Colgate in the road whites. Shore has a nice pocket to step up in. Pass is complete, but it's going to be just short of a first down.
Yeah, we talk so much about JMU and how they like to play with great tempo and get back to the line. Looks like this ball has been marked short, but they're back up at the line of scrimmage again, ready to go for it here on fourth down.
So a gain of 5 for Brandon Ravenel. And on fourth down, needing just inches, JMU picks up that first down.
It's an incredibly aggressive call, but it also is emblematic of how confident they are in what they can do offensively. Get that downhill run just as if the other team does with James Holland. They're able to get the one in their sleep.
There's head coach Everett Withers in his second year at JMU after the first down by Johnson. Quarterback keeper, Shore, across the 45. And the Dukes are on the move.
And one of the things we'll see here today from JMU, from the Dukes, is that they like to rotate through their backs as well. Cardon Johnson, obviously Brian Shore pulled down and have some runs himself, but Khalid Abdullah, we'll see a lot of him as well. They rotate them through. You play at this kind of tempo, you have to have great depth.
Second down and 5. Cardon Johnson averages 6.9 yards per carry. That's 7th best in FCS. Shore going to tuck it and run. Still has his eyes downfield. Now he's just going to try to get out of bounds. Near midfield, he's pushed out.
And you can see there, Shore's a little bit uncomfortable moving to his left. He's a right-handed quarterback. He kept that fake alive, but it looked like throwing across his body to some open receiver that he had crossing in the middle of the field. He wasn't going to take that risk. Does a smart thing, pulls it down, gets the last couple amount of yards there.
How about those numbers on third down conversions this year? James Madison's offense, best in the country, both FCS and FBS at 55%. Third down and 2. Shore rolling right. Pass dropped. It would have been a first down. Instead, that brings up 4th and 2 because Brandon Ravenel could not haul it in.
See here on the replay, if he got a hand in there, the timing of the pass was off. He obviously moving to Shore's right. That helps him with it to his arm side. When does this ball get knocked out? He puts it right on the defender. Juggled a little bit, but number one does a great job of getting in there and knifing the ball away. In this situation, not so comfortable going for it on fourth down. They're going to punt the ball away.
Yeah, 4th and 2 brings out the punter Gunnar Kane, junior from Virginia Beach, Virginia, standing at his own 38-yard line. Fair catch called for, and it's corralled despite staring into the sun at the 8-yard line.
Well, it's an interesting decision, Doug, to go ahead and punt that away. It looks like their threshold must just be the yard or less. I mean, that wasn't even quite the 2 yards. It was maybe a yard and a half, but even with the additional 10 yards of field position they had, they weren't willing to go back to that extra yard.
So the Colgate defense keeps JMU off the board. 6 minutes to go. First quarter, all Raiders so far. The winner of our football game here this afternoon, and the JMU campus will go on to take on Sam Houston State or McNeese State. They will play in the second round game tonight at 7 o'clock. And not yet determined where that game will be played, depending on seeding. We will figure all that out late tonight as Colgate takes over on top 10-0. Jake Melville on the quarterback keeper picks up 2 yards.
And it looks like a 2 that's a pretty decent stop, but it's a great job here by Jacob pulling it out of the belly because the back's getting hit in the backfield. He reduced the game to a one-on-one tackle on the edge. Didn't break it, but it was the right decision.
Kyrie Hawkins with a big tackle, sophomore from Baltimore, Maryland. Second down and 8. By the way, you saw that the Citadel and Charleston Southern were underway. It's 3-0 the Citadel in the first quarter. The other game that's already underway is Melville makes a couple of tacklers miss, and he's near a first down again for the Raiders. The other game, Richmond is leading William and Mary 28-10 at halftime.
This is good play calling. They're going back now to the open side, so you show formationally a strength side, a side where your tight end is, where things are overloaded a little bit. They go back to the weak side, so they're really keeping this JMU defense on its toes. They're keying down on some of the inside stuff to stop it, so they go the other direction.
Now Melville is Colgate's leading rusher this year. Came in averaging 5.3 per carry. He's pushing 900 yards on the ground this year. He has run for as long as 44 yards, so you know he's got a good burst. In the air, single coverage near midfield. It's an incomplete pass as they look for John Madaluna.
Well, you had to assume that at some point they'd go back to a shot play. This is sort of Colgate's MO. They lull you to sleep. They get the short yardage play, a run here, a run there, and then they go ahead and take their shots. They take their shots there on first down, where in the event that they miss it, back to the death by 1,000 paper cuts idea. Back to 2- and 3-yard plays to put themselves in better position for a third down conversion.
Colgate head coach Dan Hunt told us earlier this week his trio of running backs, he's got no attitude kids. Said it wouldn't work otherwise. The three of them share the load. At the moment it's Holland, Russell, and Wilkins also get in there. But how often do you have two running backs who both make second-team all-conference? And then, oh, by the way, here goes their leading rusher for another first down. It's the quarterback, Melville. Tackled again by Taylor Reynolds.
It's such an unusual situation, and Dan Hunt obviously has to deal with a lot of egos, but these guys have been great teammates. Jake Melville might be the best runner they have, and as you mentioned, Doug, it's the quarterback. But both Holland and Russell are guys that could be 1,000-yard rushers that they played at any number of other FCS schools. Even John Wilkins, who's the younger guy of the group, well, he's still a junior, has another year of eligibility, but he's a guy who could easily carry more of a workload.
He's been banged up in recent weeks, but he did not get many reps against New Hampshire last week. Only 2 carries. So now Coach Hunt says that Wilkins is rested and would likely be their fourth quarterback here today if Colgate is indeed leading, trying to hold on to that lead late in the game.
And what you need to get out of this, if you're the JMU defense, is you need to get some penetration plays, and you need linebackers to step up and initiate contact around the line of scrimmage. These times where you're hitting at the 2- and 3-yard line, they're falling forward for that extra yard. Now you sit at 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6. This isn't a great passing team if you get them into third and long situations. Third more modest, that's well within their wheelhouse.
2nd down and 6. Showing blitz. Holland runs left, has the edge. He's got a first down and more into JMU territory. First down, Raiders.
This play here is really a lot to do with Jake Melville. He kept that ball in Holland's gut for so long. If you're that edge defender trying to make a decision, which of the two am I going to take? The ability for Melville to feel comfortable leaving it in there long enough that if he'd have wanted to, he could have still pulled that ball out. That late decision really put the defender in a rock and a hard place. And then Holland just turns on the jets.
And so Holland gets a breather. Demetrius Russell. And the pass is incomplete. 2nd down.
Well, we've seen this, Doug, and if it is as complimentary as we've been of Jake Melville, and deservedly so, occasionally he'll have one of these "what are you doing" moments. He's throwing that essentially to a defensive end. He'd have to throw this through the defensive end. Maybe he's just not seeing him on this little tear screen on the outside. Had virtually a clean game a week ago against UNH, except for one really bizarre interception where he threw it to none of his own guys. He's very fortunate there that wasn't taken the other direction.
He clearly was focused on his receiver, John Metalunan, had no comprehension of what the linemen were doing, engaged in his path.
Well, another get back on track here play by Colgate. They're doing sort of the little reverse jet sweep kind of issue on an underneath handoff. Get the blockers out in front, do a decent job of solidifying the secondary players and getting it into 3rd and manageable. Now you're looking at a 3rd and 2 to 3, something that this quick handoff game between Melville and Holland has been usually very easily able to handle.
Connor Wingenroth after that pickup back to the sideline. 3rd down and 2. Russell, he's dropped short. Big defensive play for JMU. Kyrie Hawkins with the hit, trying to get off the field.
They got some penetration here at the inside. That's from the backside. Well, I think they had some confusion. We had some confusion who had the ball, but they got 3 purple bodies in the backfield, and they got him on the ground. Huge situation there. Huge situational win by the Dukes.
Well, they haven't gotten Colgate's offense off the field just yet because the Raiders are going for it, and they do this a lot and do it very well. On fourth down conversions, 68% this year. Fourth down and 2. Melville takes the snap. He's looking to throw. From midfield, puts it in the air. He's got a man. And it's caught down inside the red zone by Connor Wingenroth.
Great job with the name there, Doug. He lays out, makes an exceptional play here in the shadows of this sort of southeast corner, I believe, of this end zone. But, you know, a team that's willing on a shot play on fourth down and not just go for the yard or two, it's really a mix and match kind of offense. Colgate is really sort of feeling their oats here out early in this ball game.
Dragged down from behind by Alex Mosley. Nice job in pursuit of Melville.
Really great job there by Mosley, and that's important because if you're going to get out in this edge situation, you want to know if your defensive end, your bigger bodies, a 290-pound guy can match athleticism with Melville. In that situation, he wasn't run from, and he has great length. He's able to pull him down out in space. That's the kind of thing that'll stick in Melville's head as he's trying to make that decision on whether or not to pull that out of Holland's gut as he goes around the edge later in the game.
Mosley earlier this week in talking about this FCS playoff game said, quote, "This is big boy football." He just made a big boy play. There's another big stop by the front line of JMU. That'll bring up third down from about the 10-yard line.
Would say in this situation maybe Melville didn't make the right decision. The flow that you get out of the JMU Dukes, in other words, flow is the reaction you get from the defense as they move with the ball fake. They were going really hard there on Holland. Maybe Melville pulls out. He's able to take that home.
That's the end of the first quarter, and it's been all Colgate. The Raiders, the champions of the Patriot League, looking for the big upset of James Madison University out of the Colonial. Back with the second quarter after this. Doug Sherman, Matt Chatham back at James Madison University, and coming into the football game, Matt, we thought that if Colgate was going to win this game, they're going to have to control the football, and so far that has been the formula.
This is it. This is the formula. It fell in their lap, and they took advantage. 11 minutes to just about 3 minutes. That's not how you usually see games go down.
Into the end zone, and it's deflected. Is it caught? It's a touchdown! My goodness, John Quazza somehow able to haul that in. Colgate takes a 16-0 lead.
Bailed out his quarterback, quite frankly. Jake Melville throws this up. Quarterback does a great job of following up, but look at the concentration by Quazza. What a great play there. Really in no position to make the play on the ball at the initial leap, but he sticks with it, shows great concentration, pulls it in. That's a catch every day of the year.
Hashtag SC Top 10 if you want to nominate that for Sports Center tonight, and that's certainly top 10 worthy. Might be a tough Saturday to get in, but that was a doozy for the senior out of West Milford, New Jersey. And the crowd here at James Madison's Bridgeforth Stadium is stunned and beginning to get a little restless.
Well, and that's the way you take away this unusual environment. You get in this giant stadium like you've never played in before and hit them right in the mouth early. That gets things quiet in a rush.
The last drive, all Colgate again, as the Raiders just keep following their quarterback, Jake Melville, down the field.
You really see the diversity of the approach here. Jake able to make plays with his feet. This on fourth down, the huge conversion to get the ball down the field. And here, quite frankly, he's bailed out by his tight end. Does a great job of knocking off the defender, keeping his concentration high, and going and getting that pass.
Well, it appeared that Marcel Johnson, the JMU defensive back, was in perfect position for the interception. Quazza played a little defensive back, and then, hey, there's the football.
He did.
I got myself a touchdown. It's all Colgate 17-0, leading the co-champions of the Colonial. JMU with the football, and a big opening. This could go across the 40, across the 50. Brandon Ravenel across the 30, and finally knocked out of bounds. But that could change momentum just like that.
Really since the coin toss, since we were here early, we haven't heard this place explode, but that's really the dynamite you felt in this building where the Dukes get back into it with a huge special teams play. Really a nice job here by the kicker of slowing this thing down. Takes a decent angle, not a great tackling job, but enough to allow the cavalry to get there and get him on the ground.
The first team All-CAA receiver who had the game-winning touchdown catch late at Delaware has a big play on special teams to try and jumpstart the Dukes here this afternoon. Excellent field position from the Colgate 25 after the 56-yard return. Brian Shore keeps the football, and the quarterback is stacked up after a gain of 1.
Interestingly enough, this is actually a play call that Colgate has in their own arsenal. You're pulling it out of the gut and using the dive player is essentially your lead blocker. You pull it out from him, allow him to clear. He becomes the first blocker. Shore tries to get him behind him. Unfortunately, Colgate's doing a great job of really mucking things up on the inside.
And that's the nose tackle, Alex Campbell, in between Pat Afriye and Brett Field, all three all-conference linemen. Afriye first team, Campbell and Field second team, all three very disruptive. There's a good rush, stepping aside Shore, still being pursued, still on his feet. Now he's going to run. Shore gets inside the 20, making something out of nothing.
He really did there. And you get to see the feet of Brian Shore. He's got some ability too. No, this is not bad lead, but he's a guy that can make plays with his feet. Alludes to the great rush on the edge. Obviously, he's going to be able to outrun the defensive tackle on the inside. But we see pocket containment just a bigger issue with the Dukes as it is with the Raiders.
Give up the middle. Khalid Abdullah, and it's a first down, James Madison.
This really highlights the ability of this team to get back on the ball quickly, get downhill in a hurry, and capitalize on the positive play for the previous play.
Abdullah again fights his way inside the 5-yard line on 1st and goal.
And they're moving now, Doug. Obviously, we're struggling just to keep up with these guys, and this is more of what we expected. Duke's back on the ball again, pecking away rep after rep.
Abdullah, a junior from Newport News, Virginia. And he has been their best touchdown maker this year. He's reached the end zone 12 times. He's in the backfield along with Brian Shore. Trips to the left. Shore gonna run it. And he's not gonna make it. 3rd down coming up for the Dukes.
Really good job here of the right defensive end of standing up the tackle, actually standing up the guard there in the hole, because when Brian Shore wants to pull it down and run, he had to make a hard decision. Had they gotten some movement there at the 3 technique, he'd have a little more clearance to dive into the end zone. As it was, he did not.
Walking into the end zone for a touchdown is Khalid Abdullah.
But it did not matter because they got the downhill play they've been looking for. Really quick hitter there again. We're just rolling out of the highlight from the play before, and they're back on the ball. Abdullah downhill, gashes it, finds his space, and he's in the end zone.
His 13th touchdown of the year gets JMU on the board. Well, that's kind of what we were expecting out of JMU. It took them until the 2nd quarter, though, to do it. A turnover, a dropped kickoff return hindered things at the start. Colgate had dominated the 1st quarter, but here come the Dukes. They average 45 points per game. They've got the first 7 on the board. Welcome to Jimmy V Week for Cancer Research on ESPN as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Valvano's dream of defeating cancer. And you can help us beat cancer by logging on to jimmyv.org or call 1-800-4JIMMY-V to donate. All donations benefit the V Foundation for Cancer Research. With Matt Chatham, I'm Doug Sherman, and I had the good fortune of meeting Jimmy V one time. I was in Bristol, and he and Dickie V were hustling their way down to the studio, and Jim just had this way about him. He couldn't have been more gracious, nicer, wanted to take time to stop and talk to a young broadcaster, and we shared some common friends, and it really was impactful because he was a guy who just oozed life. He was somebody who really changed a lot of lives for the better and continues to here.
He's really a transcendent figure in sports. Beyond just college basketball, that clip of his final speech there is something that resonates with hockey players and wrestlers and really anyone that competes at any level.
Don't give up, don't ever give up. And I love that ESPN plays that every year. And we Saw that earlier this week many times. Colgate on the kick return, and good coverage by the Dukes out across the 20-yard line before the hit was leveled by Dimitri Holloway. So let's see if momentum has turned or if Colgate can get back to its ground and pound and retake control of the ball game here, Matt.
This is really that notion of smart football that we talked about. You had to understand as a group coming up here into a hostile environment that there's going to be some ebbs and flows of the game. JMU was going to score a touchdown. You knew that was going to happen. You come out now, you have an opportunity to respond both in clock possession and being able to move the ball down the field for potential points.
Now we're starting to hear some of the noise we expected at Bridgeforth Stadium with a good crowd. They expected about 18,000 here today. Andrew Ankra with the tackle on the run by Demetrius Russell.
We're seeing the Dukes here really hone in on that inside handoff. So they're taking that portion away. There needs to be a complementary element for Colgate to pull something off. Back to the edges, maybe something in the passing game, or Melville around the side himself.
Well, we've seen a couple of big pass plays, tremendous catches, one for a touchdown by Colgate. There's a quick dive up the middle for a gain of about 7. Brandon Brown bringing down Demetrius Russell, bringing up a short third down situation.
Well, this is, as we mentioned before, they actually had run strength to the top of your screen, but they go back to the open side and run that little dive play. So you've got less defenders, you've also got less blockers. It's a bit of a gamble, but in the one-on-one situation, they feel good about their guys.
3rd and 2. Jake Melville hands it off. Spinning for a first down is James Holland.
That bit of leverage, that little extra leg drive from James Holland, that's really what it's all about. Linebacker in the backfield around his legs. He's able to spin out of it and then fall forward. That's his game. You got to hit him low. You got to stand him up. You got to chop him down. You got to figure something out to get him down, or he kills you with that last 1 to 2 yards on the end of every run.
And he's running behind an offensive line that's been very productive this year. A couple of all-conference players. That pass incomplete. John Weber, 3rd-year starter at left guard, first-team All-Patriot. Jordy Dalmau, 3rd-year starter, first-team All-Conference this year, along with Grant Siegel. Their center is Max Hartzman. And Ryan Paulish, the left tackle. The big boys have really been a key to this Colgate team that started the year 0-3, now being here in the 2nd round of the FCS championship.
Yeah, we talk about the backs, we talk about the quarterback, obviously, but those gaps are created by these guys up front. They're a very unsung group. They made a lot of highway lanes for this backs, but for both the quarterback and the backfield. Now, they need to seal edges. These guys don't just create tunnels on the inside. They're able to work the edges as well.
Holland, pick up of 5. That'll bring up 3rd and 5 after the tackle by Enkra.
They're such a tough egg to crack as a defense because they put themselves in some bad situations. Incompletions on first down. This is an offense that's really built to tick and tack you back with short passing game. They kind of just get them as the occasional shot. But then they get a 6-yard run on 2nd down. You shouldn't be able to get back on track with dive plays. Yet the Colgate Raiders do.
Well, the tiny town of Hamilton, New York had a lot of noise this week. Blaring music from the practice field for Colgate because they wanted to prepare for this, the noise that's coming from the 17,000 or 18,000 fans on hand. Handoff. JMU was ready. Alex Mosley with the tackle, and that should force the punting unit for Colgate to come out.
I think this is another one of Jake Melville's decisions he'd probably like back. There's so much penetration at the handoff. Jake pulls that, probably hits his head on the goalpost. Again, it's really easy for me to sort of Monday morning quarterback from out here, but because the penetration has been so great on the inside, some of those little quick passes to the outside, something that'll slow that charge, really needs to get back into the Colgate game plan.
Nico Armiento, senior from Fort Lauderdale, on to punt. Low snap. Armiento's got it and gets the football away. Received at the 22-yard line and dropped out across the 35. And James Madison gets the football back. Here's a look at how Colgate and JMU plan for success with the NCAA.com. Quarterfinals of the FCS continue next weekend on ESPN and ESPN2. And for more information, go to NCAA.com. There's a good look at the quarterback trying to step up in place of Vad Lee, the all-conference quarterback who is out for the season with a broken foot. Shore trying to get this high-powered offense going. Carden Johnson gets the carry on first down. And again, Matt, this team leads the NCAA in total offense, 550 yards per game, and in third down conversions, second in the country, with 303 first downs coming into the afternoon and nearly 45 points per game. They got shut out in the first quarter here today.
It's amazing. Not what you expect.
Shore the give.
Oh, we spent a lot of real estate last segment talking, really pumping the tires of the offensive line for the Colgate Raiders. JMU's group's getting great push themselves up front. One of the things I always try to look at is you see that invisible first down line that you often see on in your game screens at home, NFL games, things like that. This offensive line is putting itself 2 to 3 yards into the Colgate secondary, giving that nice little bit of push up front to make those running lanes easier.
Now the right tackle, number 76, Mitchell Kirsch, a 6'6", 300-pound junior who has NFL scouts' attentions. That pass complete. Damo Taylor. First down, Dukes, and then some. He's out of bounds at the 32-yard line, taken down by Christian Hardegree.
Now, this is such a risky play by the cornerback. He's thinking pick six, but you have to make the play if you take your shot, because then you're left as sort of a secondary person and a safety deep on the middle of the field to come all the way over and clean the play up. Lucky that didn't go for 6.
And as soon as the football is placed, they're handing off to Johnson once again. And if you're Colgate defensively, how tough is this now when JMU gets the momentum going?
Well, they were actually able to pull off a substitution there, Doug, which is really unusual with the pace that they're doing. They ran one defensive tackle off and was able to replace him. But yeah, getting back and getting set and not making mental errors when things get quick, that's the challenge.
On play action, Shore puts it up to the goal line, nearly intercepted. Tremendous coverage by Ty McCollum.
Well, sometimes the box score doesn't tell the story. I think that's 2 balls there that very easily could have been picked off by Brian Shore. Getting a little bit fortunate. The other one didn't go back the other direction, and this one undercut by the safety. Nice job there of making a play on the ball. Not able to come down with it.
Second team All-Patriot League defensive back. Bringing up a third down and let's call it 6. 3 receivers to the right. For the sophomore quarterback out of Milford, PA, he hands it off. Big hole for Carden Johnson. It's a first down, JMU.
Yeah, this is kind of cool X's and O's stuff here where they're sending it again back to the weak side. You got the defensive tackle out on his heels. He's kind of looking both sides of his blocker. Where's it going to go? And the gap is just too wide. Back hits it downhill into the secondary.
Yeah, mentioned Mitchell Kirsch, but the other guys up front doing their job. Johnson this time doesn't have much room to run. That'll bring up second down, tackled by Charles Carney. But how about the rest of the guys up front? Matt Frank, the right tackle. Dominic Richards at center. Aaron Stinney is the left tackle. And 6th-year senior Austin Lane from Clifton Park, New York, out of Shenendehowa High School. He began his college career at Syracuse and then transferred to JMU. Got a medical hardship to be able to play a 6th year and tried to take advantage of it. He's one of these guys leading up to this week wanting to make up for last year's loss in the first round to Liberty. Liberty came in here and beat JMU, and those upperclassmen remember that and want to change the narrative this year.
They sure do, and they have some experience on that offensive line. It's a group that's biggish, almost BCS kind of style. They got a lot of 6'4" and up guys, 5 and 6 and 300-pounders. On the other side of the ball, there's some contrast. Colgate looks more like hedgehogs. There's 6'3" guys that are heavy and get low.
On third down, Shore gets tripped up right around the first down marker. Let's see where he got to before Alex Campbell brought him to the turf. It's 4th down and inches, and of course the Dukes are going for it. Carden Johnson, the running back. Shore going to keep it. He's got room, and he's into the end zone for a JMU touchdown.
Well, there's a guy here able to make the play, but he makes a decision. Sometimes you dive for the mesh point. That's just a matter of responsibility football. One guy's got to have the quarterback. One guy's got to have the defensive, or does he have the running back? Chris Morgan there really takes his shot where you have duplicity. You have a couple people on the back. You don't want that. One guy's got to have his. The other guy's got to have the other. Responsibility football.
Point after attempt is good, and here comes JMU. After falling behind 17-0, the Dukes, led by their quarterback Brian Shore, are right back in it. Well, if you're playing defense against the offensive James Madison, you cannot miss your mark or else they'll make you pay.
Yeah, I think that's really the story of this drive, Doug. Missed opportunities there. If you don't make the play, secure the tackle, took a shot, didn't make it, get a nice run here. But understand, this was followed another interception that should have happened but didn't. And there you have an unblocked cornerback who takes the wrong responsibility. We talked about smart football in the open and how important that would be for Colgate. That was a sequence of not so very smart football.
And there you see on the left the quarterback today, Brian Shore, and on the right the man on crutches is Vad Lee, who actually serves, as you take a look at the numbers for James Madison today. First drive 22 yards, and since it's been all Dukes as we would expect them to be, but Vad Lee plays the role of coach now.
Right. It's great to have that veteran leader, the guy that's been in this moment, can sort of talk you through and keep you calm.
Now, he was a transfer from Georgia Tech, transferred down to FCS, and had a marvelous career, cut short by a broken foot. But now he is serving as mentor, coach, and cheerleader for his teammates as they play for a spot in the quarterfinals of the FCS championship.
We clearly have still plenty of time here on the clock here before the end of the second half, 5.5 on the clock, but they get a nice special teams return there. Real flat ball out of the kicker, a real returnable kind of thing up here to the 35-yard line. The ability of not to get points to flip the field again, which is very important for Colgate.
Colgate University, you know, was originally known as Madison University,
Yeah,
so we're actually seeing Madison against James Madison, but that's because Madison County in upstate New York, that's just outside of Syracuse, was what the school was named for back in the 19th century. And then the Colgate family, the one you know for toothpaste, wound up being honored for their support of the university. And so here we have the Colgate Raiders, tackled by Rashad Robinson.
I have the note on the back of my hand, no toothpaste jokes today, but you went there first, so I appreciate that.
No toothpaste. I'm just trying to make sure I say Colgate Raiders. They had another word in their title that's been removed since. And
Yep.
growing up in upstate New York, I'm just very familiar with the old name, so I apologize in advance if that one comes out. But the Colgate Raiders trying to answer back and slow this JMU machine down. Colgate jumped to a 17-0 lead. The Dukes were scoreless in the first quarter. Big hole and room to run for Colgate. James Holland, he's loose across the 20. A foot race to the goal line. He's in for a touchdown. A 63-yard answer by the sophomore from Royal Palm Beach, Florida.
This is the danger you get in when you start stunting as a defense. They're really trying hard to take away those backfield plays, which means they're guessing. They jump into a gap, vacate another gap, and Holland's left all alone. Holland tunnel right down the middle of the field. Nothing but him in this bank of students at the other end of the field.
Second team All-Patriot League running back. Missed a couple of games in early October to injury, but he is at full strength now. That is his second touchdown. And keep in mind, as the PAT is up and good, Holland scored last week in the first round against UNH. A touchdown in the first, a touchdown in the second, a touchdown in the third, touchdown in the fourth. He's on the same pace today.
He did a great job there of making the first guy miss, but they're slanting the line. They stunt everyone in one direction. They hit the one gap that's available, and the first guy misses the tackle. From there, there's nothing behind them. Trees, mountains, buildings. There's nothing to stop the guy. So these are the gambles you get into. You really want to be anxious to try to stop this running attack that Colgate has. You take some chances with some line stunts. These are the things that tend to happen.
And I've got to think, like last week at UNH, the longer Colgate hangs around, the more dangerous they are.
Well, all the credit to them. As we mentioned, this is an environment like nothing they've ever seen before. Colgate plays in a small venue. Most of the Patriot League stadiums aren't like this. This is very near a BCS kind of environment. they answer. They felt the crowd come back. They got themselves back into a tight ball game, and on the very next drive, they come and just run their offense. They run their offense, and they make a big play. Back out in front with a comfortable lead.
Yeah, well, Colgate, in its opening game this year, played in front of its biggest crowd. That was at Navy, 28,000. Since then, not even into five figures with any of their crowds. The seniors on this Colgate team, as Dan Hunt told us, when they were freshmen, actually played in the building you're familiar with, the Dakota Dome.
This almost knocked me out of my chair. Dan Hunt was talking about the USD Coyotes there at the Dakota Dome where I played. They come out in pregame on a big motorcycle with the mascot, and it's loud, and it's a raucous environment. But this is as close as that's we'll see. And we got another big return here.
Here goes Ravenel. Tripped up at midfield. Well, how about that? The opening kickoff that James Madison took and fumbled by Dean Cheatham. He has not gotten the opportunity again since it's been Ravenel, and he has been brilliant.
Well, where would this team be without the special teams play? Really, the changes of field position, the ability to answer has been huge for the Dukes. They've had a couple really big plays here where they've gotten field position back and really been able to answer quickly. Love to see it. That's why we love college football. In the NFL, that ball is usually 10 yards into the stands, and they don't have the ability to answer. Here, the special teams unit for the Dukes has been a really big part of this game.
JMU's offense back onto the field. Ishmael Hyman in motion. The give is to the tailback, Khalid Abdullah. Not much room to run on that Dukes logo at midfield here at Bridgeforth Stadium.
And we know that, the Dukes are going to have that two-back system themselves. Looks like they themselves are going with a hot hand. Abdullah's getting the carries now.
Now Abdullah coming in at a team-high 180 carries. He and Johnson have shared that load depending on who's had the hot hand quite often this year. Tucking and running, Shore breaks a tackle inside the 35. Drags another tackler down to the 28-yard line. Charles Carney finally brought him down.
This is your distinction between Brian Shore and Vad. He's able to sort of still run. It's not necessarily a straight line speed thing, but he's a big guy. Big upright dude running through tackles. When he makes his decision to go downhill, he's very decisive.
1st and 10. Picking his way is Abdullah. Gets to the edge inside the 20-yard line. It's a pickup of just about 10 on 1st down before Joe Figueroa makes the tackle.
Great job here, a bounce out. It's kind of a cool display of running game. We're really not seeing the ball go up in the air much, but bounces outside, quick dives, all these kind of things. Diverse running attacks on both sides.
Timeout called by the officials because of an injured player for Colgate, who remains on the turf.
It's really obviously unfortunate the guy got banged up, and we'll see if he's able to bounce back here shortly. But really the injury has been the only way for us to take a breath. It's been play after play after play.
Looks like Josh Ford, number 4, and he, you see, gets underneath that pile. And he is now sitting up, but he took quite a shot. First from the runner, Abdullah, and then from a couple of his teammates landing on him.
Yeah, these are one of those situations where it's chaos in football. He might have got bent up on there a little bit. Could be a shoulder, could be a neck, could be the concussion stuff. We don't know, but that's the chaotic stuff here. You can't just perfectly place yourself on where you'd like to have the tackle happen. Sometimes it's not perfect, and you get wrenched the wrong way.
Good to see the senior from Haledon, New Jersey, out of DePaul Catholic High School, walking off under his own power. But it was a 1st down run for Abdullah. He picked up 10, and so it is 1st and 10. JMU looking to take its first lead, or rather pull back within 3 points here late in the 2nd quarter.
The quick strike ability of a running game, that's just not something you see a lot in today's version of football. You see all those Big 12 spread attacks with 60 pass attempts. This isn't that. They keep the tempo high. They keep running the football. They keep moving it down the field.
Ravenel, the receiver, to the right. Dual receivers to the left. Damo Taylor out wide. Shore goes to the left to the slot receiver. He's got a completion, makes the first man miss, and he's going in for a touchdown. Rashard Davis. An 18-yard pass play draws the Dukes back within 4.
I really like the play design here because understanding the play fake's going to the short side of the field. He delivers an excellent ball all the way to the far numbers, and it's just space. It's one-on-one. You make the first guy miss, there's no one left.
Well, Davis missed the regular season finale against Villanova 2 weeks ago with adult chicken pox, but they say he is back and fully healthy. Certainly looked good there on the 18-yard touchdown, and JMU draws back to within a field goal.
Because these teams are so good at running the football, you really soak up the safeties in the box, wandering around that area. These quarterbacks are extended from the formation, using that proverbial word, the island. They're out there all by themselves, lulled to sleep. Just every once in a while, there's actually a pass play. Davis does a great job there of taking advantage of the nary an opportunity that he gets to have the ball in his hands. And when he does, you just see him beat with speed to the outside and score the touchdown.
Now, he runs a 4.4 40. Was a dual threat quarterback growing up in Charlottesville, Virginia. He now has 5 touchdown receptions on the year.
It's interesting, and this is always sort of a conflict of a guy that has some receiving skill. You go to a school that really runs the football exceptionally well. You got to block well. You got to do all the little things. That's how you earn your reps. But when you sit and wait for those moments, when you get your chance, you make a play. Davis did there.
James Madison making its 12th playoff appearance in the program's 44-year history. Last year lost to Liberty. It's a team that can put points on the board against most anybody in their win over SMU back in September. James Madison scored 48 points to beat an FBS opponent, 48-45. And with that, they earned a first-round bye and got the number 5 seed. That's why they didn't play last week, able to get healthy and get rested. You know how important that is. You get a bye week, you got to take advantage, man.
It can usually go one of two ways. You can be healthy and you come out firing with all the extra sort of freshness you got, or you can be a little bit rusty. And I think it looked like they got off to a bit of a slow start. You know, fumbling the kick return, having a 3-and-out, which isn't something they do much, and took them a little while to get rolling. But the Dukes are back sort of in their world, playing with great tempo, scoring on virtually every drive.
Keeping it away from Madaluna. Ball's still loose. Colgate has to secure it. Indeed they do for a touchback. James Madison mixing it up. Colgate didn't handle it well immediately, but wound up recovering to make sure they'll get the football and secure it.
A little bit of a snafu here with the handling. Do the smart football, and that's it. He brings that out. You're talking about a tackle on the 2 or 3 or 4 yard line. All of a sudden, you've got a new issue. With the touchback, things are a little more simple.
Well, James Holland, the 5'9" sophomore from Royal Palm Beach, Florida, has been quite the catalyst for this Colgate offense.
Well, he got it in one big chunk today as well. I mean, obviously a lot of nice smaller plays that they needed for conversions, but you get the big 60-plus yard touchdown play. He has that explosive element, something I think people often are lulled to sleep by. Power back, but a guy that can get out and hit it as well.
But this is not his drive right now. Demetrius Russell on the field. They're going for it all. No flags on the play, just an incomplete pass. The receiver is looking for a flag but doesn't get it.
Interesting no call here. They may just be ruling that their legs get tangled up. I don't know. He's out there diving and hitting the back of his legs before the balls actually arrive. College doesn't give you the spot foul. It had just been a 15-yard pass interference penalty. You might have thrown that flag. He was there just a tick early, and it saved the offensive player that last stride he needed to go out and reach the ball.
Good to see head coach Dan Hunt pick up for his receiver John Madaluna. It's just an incomplete pass. 2nd down and 10 at the 25-yard line. JMU's defense with a big hit. Simeon Robinson, the nose guard from Virginia Beach, Virginia, didn't allow Demetrius Russell to go anywhere.
Yeah, penetration here is really the story. In the backfield, right on top of the handoff. Again, it's easy for me to backseat drive here, but Melville pulls that out. Maybe he's got an opportunity. The decision to keep it in his gut with that penetration, you're looking at a negative play.
Now Robinson enjoyed a breakthrough performance in last year's FCS playoff opener with 9 tackles against Liberty. A big one there brings up 3rd down and 9. Final 2.5 minutes of the first half. Intercepted at the 15 and walking into the end zone for a touchdown is Jordan Brown. James Madison takes the lead.
Jake Melville dodged a bullet early in the game by not throwing it, or throwing it, not getting it picked off in the defensive end's arms. This time they have a pressure coming off the edge. They really had a nice screen set up. He picked the wrong element to throw to. He throws it right into the breadbasket. Easy play, does a great job of securing the catch and scoring the touchdown.
PAT is good. Jordan Brown, who returned an interception last time out, 45 yards for a touchdown against Villanova, has done it again here.
This is really that issue we talked about with smart football. You got to feel and read that pressure coming. You got to know enough to maybe just throw it to the ground. Go ahead and live to see another day. Jake Melville is a guy who's been a great quarterback, really been the leader of this group, but it's about avoiding that one. What in the world do you do to play a game? That was his there. That needs to be the last one.
The Brown family is extremely happy right now. His older brother, CJ, was the starting quarterback in Maryland. His father, Clark Brown, played quarterback at Michigan State. Jordan, of course, was a quarterback coming up, as every Brown is, I guess. But he wound up switching over. He's a big play quarterback out of Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they haven't done a bunch of this pressuring off the edge. They played it more sort of straight and allowed the sort of the slanting to go on the inside. They send the pressure off the edge. Jordan gets involved in it a little bit, does a great job there of leaping, maybe when he didn't have to, but at least securing the catch. That's always a tough play when you're running towards the pass that's coming right in your chest. Does a good job there securing it and getting downhill.
Well, the defense for JMU with the big play to take the lead, 28-24, and after being shut out in the first quarter, here are the Dukes doing what they do.
Yeah, that's what you can't become complacent. You know, Colgate has to know that to win this game, they're going to have to score 30 or more points. JMU has actually a pretty rough first half initially, at least first quarter, and now they're almost at 30 points by halftime. So that's just who you're across the field from.
It's a 28-7 run for JMU. The only Colgate offense in that stretch was the long touchdown run by James Holland. Let's see if Colgate, with 2:16 on the clock, is able to move the football. They've got some blocking on the edge to the 30 and out to the 37-yard line, maybe the 38. A terrific return for the Raiders by John Mataluna.
He continues to keep this ball to the outside. At the last moment here, he decides to cut back. That's not where it was. He had a gap to the outside. May not have been a touchdown, but we're looking maybe more at midfield if he stayed with sort of the design of the play. Great return one way or the other. Nice field position starting out here on the 38-yard line. Really an opportunity for Jake Melville to put a better stamp on the end of this first half. So many positive things in this first half for Dan Hunt's group and Colgate, but you don't want to go into halftime with that bad taste in your mouth. You know you've done a lot of the positive things. You look up at the scoreboard and you're trailing. Really good emotional lift here for Colgate to put some points back on the board.
Matt, by the way, that was just the second interception by Jake Melville this year. He's been the most efficient in terms of throwing the football. He had one interception in his first 300-plus pass attempts until that pick six.
Very judicious with the ball, except a week ago in UNH he had one bad ball there as well.
Colgate up the middle for a gain of 5 on first down. Clock running inside of 2 minutes. Kyrie Hawkins the tackle on the run by Holland.
Second down, 5.
Do you feel like Colgate is allowing an opportunity to slip through here? Should there be more urgency trying to get down into at least field goal range?
It would appear they want to score, but I don't think they want to leave time on the clock either. We've seen how quickly JMU can strike themselves.
Back to pass. Jake Melville fires left sideline, incomplete. His intended receiver, Alex Greenawalt.
Really an unusual sort of receiver depth on that particular play. You're looking at a third, it was at the time second and about 5. The depth of the route runs to about 10 yards. So it was sort of an unusual place where he's breaking the route back, and it looks like Jake is throwing it at a much shorter depth. So maybe a mistake there, either on the quarterback or wide receiver's part.
The noise level here in the Shenandoah Valley climbs at Bridgeforth Stadium on 3rd and 5. Melville, plenty of time. He overshoots his intended receiver. The only man who got his hand on it was the strong safety, Marcel Johnson.
Talks about how Jake Melville doesn't get rattled. I haven't really seen him that rattled, especially a week ago at UNH. This guy's wide open. You have to make that play in this situation. You had a bad series the series before. You got to put it dead and buried and put it behind you. He has to make that completion. That would have been a huge change of momentum. Other side of the field, back into field goal territory. Now, we're punting the football.
And with a minute 17 on the clock, JMU certainly has enough time to put some more points up on the board. They lead for the first time, 28-24, after falling behind 17-0 from the 10-yard line. Good coverage by Colgate, and a short return by John Miller. And again, just the second interception thrown by Jake Melville. He still, though, has the fewest picks thrown by a quarterback, C.J. Beathard of Iowa. By the way, Iowa plays a big football game tonight against Michigan State in Indianapolis. The game day crew's in Indy for that. And boy, I guess that's a play-in game for the college football playoff that's coming up.
It really is. And for a guy that grew up in Iowa, myself, a Hawkeye fan as a kid, this is really an unusual season. You didn't come into this year anticipating being in the position they are.
Well, you get a big performance out of Jordan Kanziri, and then he goes down and other guys step up. They've had 3 guys in an individual game rush for like 150 yards or more. Yeah,
we've seen this really all throughout football. You look at Kansas City Chiefs, they lose Jamal Charles, they'll find the productivity after it. Iowa's had a lot of the same situation. One back goes down, next man up has a good game, next man up goes down, the guy behind him has one as well.
Let's see what JMU can do with a minute 6 on the clock. They've got the football at the 29-yard line. Swing pass caught at the 25. Blockers out there, but a nice job to close and tackle as Brandon Ravenel had nowhere to go thanks to Kyle Diener, the leading tackler for the Raiders. Clock continues to wind down to 47 seconds. Shore. Complete. Going to be short of a first down. Dean Cheatham, the tight end, and so the clock will continue to wind down unless a timeout is used. And so James Madison calls timeout with 33 seconds remaining here in the half.
Well, I think this really illustrates the concern that's a reasonable one that Colgate had on the final series of their first half to move with a little bit of not so much urgency, because any clock left in the time, any time left on the clock, any meat on the bone, JMU's going to take advantage of. They move so quickly. A minute to them is really nothing.
Good look at Everett Withers. He went 9-4 last year in his first season as a head coach at James Madison. He spent 7 years in the NFL as an assistant coach. 6 of those under Jeff Fisher as a defensive backs coach for the Titans. 3rd down and 1. Brian Shore standing by himself in the sun. Now a man in motion on the jet sweep. Shore's going to keep it. And he is close to a first down, although the way the linesman is coming in, it doesn't appear that he got there. That's going to bring up 4th down and short. And if you're James Madison, with the clock at 20, looks like they're just going to let it run. Cameron Buttermore had the tackle. And at this point, I think both Colgate and James Madison are going to be happy to get into the locker room. Well, the folks here in Harrisonburg, Virginia, were quiet in the first quarter as their team, which averages 45 points per game, was shut out. But the second quarter, the Dukes stormed back and put 28 on the board. They've got their first lead. Brian Shore and James Madison looking for a spot in the quarterfinal round next week of the FCS Championship. Back with our halftime report right after this. Welcome to Jimmy V Week for Cancer Research on ESPN as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Valvano's dream to defeat cancer.
I shudder to think where I would be, if I would be here right now, if 20 years ago the foundation hadn't been started. It all comes down to research, clinical trials, all the things that take place here, all that is possible through the generous donations. Any donation that is made is truly making a difference.
I was out recruiting in the middle of nowhere when I received a call from my husband that my son, at the age of 2, was diagnosed with leukemia. I can't even tell you, what it means when your family finds out the news. Your life is forever changed, and we're happy and proud to be a part of helping to find a cure.
On November 19th, 2009, my late wife Stephanie lost her 12-year battle with breast cancer. She believed in research. She was a proponent of finding a cure. Today, many people suffer from this dreaded disease, but there is hope in research. Thanks to the V Foundation for all that you do.
Cancer is a dreaded disease. I tell people all the time, it affects everyone. I don't care if you're rich, you're poor, you're black, you're white, you're Christian, you're Jewish. It doesn't matter. It'll bring you to your knees. And the only way we will ever beat that disease is by getting dollars in the hands of the right people. And that is what Jim Valvano is about.
I know we'll have a lot of fans, and we'll have a lot of people watching on TV, but the bottom line is for people to get involved and do what they can do to help children to have a better chance at survival and a better chance at really being able to have solid, productive lives, because there were cures that were found.
I think about just Coach V, his character, his vision, his fight, how he was always trying to inspire others. It's amazing the impact that he's had on people all across this country, not just all across the country, just because of his courage and what he's done. And his legacy will live on and on.
Today, there's so much more hope than 20, 30 years ago. So people are cancer-free, so that's exciting for all of us to live with that there are cures happening through cancer, and certainly the Jimmy V Foundation is something that adds greatly to that.
One great thing about Jim's foundation, every dollar that is collected goes to research, nothing for administrative costs. Every dollar. It's probably not going to happen in my lifetime, but I would hope and pray that there will be a day with a headline so big in print that says, "A cure for cancer has been found." That, my friends, is a victory.
Help us beat cancer. Log on to jimmyv.org or call 1-800-4JIMMY-V to donate. All donations benefit the V Foundation for Cancer Research.
It's halftime of the NCAA FCS Championship second round game between Colgate and James Madison, presented by Northwestern Mutual. Doug Sherman, along with former New England Patriot, three-time Super Bowl champion Matt Chatham, and the first quarter was all Colgate, second quarter all James Madison.
We got a game, Doug. Yes, it was an explosive first half. Obviously, the heavily favored Dukes, we expected to come here and play quickly. Colgate jumped out in front early, but obviously, as you expect from the Dukes, they showed some life in the second quarter.
Well, let's show you how the Raiders did it, jumping out to that 17-0 lead.
Well, they took advantage of the mistakes. You know, JMU has a week off, maybe comes out a little rusty, puts the kick return on the ground, and James Holland in his hands early, and they capitalize on the mistake. We know that Colgate can move the football on the ground, but they got lucky here with a tip pass that comes back to bite them later, pulling in for the touchdown now, but interceptions come their way later on. James Holland, though, downhill, and he shows he's got that little bit of burst to get out and make the big play. 60-plus yard touchdown here on this scamper. We're going to go here to the other side and look at JMU. We knew they'd come back at some point. They start gashing them on the ground themselves. So efficient, so quick, playing with such great tempo. Here, taking advantage of the responsibility mistake. You lull them to sleep with the run. You catch them out in open space with the pass, and that athleticism takes over. Big play here by JMU. We haven't seen many mistakes from the Colgate here. They had a missed opportunity, clicking the heels, no flag, understandably so. But they make the big, huge mistake on the corner pressure, get the defensive possession change there, and wow, What a huge play to change that second quarter.
So what's the mindset now? If you're Colgate, you had a 17-0 lead that you let slip away,
Right.
but the fact of the matter is you're a big underdog coming in and you're still right in the football game.
You need great veteran leadership. You need those juniors and seniors to step up and say, you know what? We got punched back, but we still need to be able to come out and answer in the second half. It takes great leadership from the coaching staff as well to say, hey guys, this game's far from over. If you told me a week ago we were within 4 points of this team at halftime, you'd be thrilled.
Okay, we'll take a break and come back with more of our halftime report here at James Madison University. The Dukes have taken a 4-point lead here at the intermission. It is a beautiful December afternoon for college football here in the Shenandoah Valley of the Commonwealth of Virginia. James Madison with a 4-point lead over Colgate at the intermission. Doug Sherman along with Matt Chatham. So we talked about what Colgate's thinking about having squandered a 17-point lead. At this point, if you're the Dukes, how are you feeling about things?
Well, you've taken advantage of the mistakes that Colgate's made themselves, and I think at this point you have to really press that issue of keeping the pressure on Colgate. They answered the bell a little bit, but they were able to fight back in the second quarter. So as JMU, you're saying, you know what? Original script. There's no reason to change what we're doing. Keep the pressure on Colgate.
Okay, the stats after one quarter were all Raiders. The statistics at halftime have evened out very nicely.
Yeah, and I think statistically speaking, Colgate's probably happy on paper, but they look up at that scoreboard and they say, you know what, we're still down 4 points. I think Colgate has to press the issue themselves defensively. You have to come up with not just stops, but some ball disruption. You've got to get the ball in your hands, a turnover, 2 or 3. To go on the road to beat a team like JMU, you really have to make a play or two on defense.
Of the 8 second-round games being played today and tonight around the country, Colgate the biggest underdog coming in, but you wouldn't know it by the scoreboard. 28-24. When we come back, the third quarter, can the Raiders upset the Dukes, or will JMU's high-flying offense keep putting points on the board? Just about set for the start of the third quarter. 28-24, James Madison leading Colgate. The Raiders have won 6 in a row. JMU trying to make it to the quarterfinal round as well. Here's a look at how Colgate and JMU plan for success, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Well, Colgate was able to jump out with some of that smart football initially, but you know what? The turnover really killed them in the second half. You had to have a clean game here today to expect to be able to keep pace. The difference in the lead that they lost is really that turnover clearly. And QB hurries and sacks, it's low. You can't expect that. They weren't able to really get out there and disrupt. JMU's done a great job of keeping the pace high so those disruptive plays haven't happened.
And then how about for JMU and head coach Everett Withers?
Well, it was tough early to win with tempo because they didn't have the football. You fumbled the kickoff. Things did not start well, but they were able to really turn up the heat in the second half of that first quarter, and then really the second quarter putting the pedal to the metal, as they say. But we talked about this sort of no death by paper, 1,000 paper cuts. They had a lot of those 3- and 4-yard plays early that ended up in the big giant 60-yard touchdown. They need to get some of those stops in the second half without overcommitting defenders and creating those giant lanes.
There you see what is ahead for one of these two teams. Either the Raiders or the Dukes will take on the winner of tonight's 7 o'clock Eastern kick between the only unbeaten team left in FCS, McNeese State, and Sam Houston State.
Well, these end up always kind of being fun because we actually won't know venue until these two games sort out. This could go to any number of places. McNeese wins, maybe they host regardless, maybe a game ends up back here at JMU, or who knows, Colgate's still in the conversation as well. So that's what makes the FCS playoffs so much fun.
On the other side, the first game to kick off was Richmond, William and Mary at noon Eastern. The Spiders lead it 42-13, 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Charleston Southern just coming out of halftime with a 14-3 lead over the Citadel. In the second quarter, Illinois State leads Western Illinois 7-3. Also early second quarter, Chattanooga and Jacksonville State are tied at 7. Kicking off at 3:30 Eastern, Montana and North Dakota State. At 4 o'clock, Grambling State, Elkhorn State, and then the 2 night games as well, including the one to decide the opponent for these two teams. The winner here, Brandon Ravenel, you just saw standing at about his own 6-yard line to accept the kickoff to begin the third quarter.
And special teams has been a huge factor in this game. Another opportunity here to flip the field.
Short kick, trying to keep it away from Ravenel, who's had a couple of long returns. It's fielded by the up man. He's dropped after about a 5-yard return. And JMU will take over and begin this third quarter at the 32-yard line, and a couple of Raiders are slow to get up off the field.
Well, the guy you're tackling is a lot bigger than what you're used to seeing, so maybe that's just a collision. Not sure exactly what happened there, but nice job there by the defensive end, essentially. Would have been a part of one of the outside blocking at wedges. Oh, it's just two guys sort of hitting one another. Those are always ugly. Obviously, football is a chaotic game. Couldn't prepare for that collision. But nice job there by JMU of fielding the football. You only get 5, as you mentioned, but they're doing that in part to keep it away from the kick returner, but also to maybe potentially put the ball on the ground by kicking it to someone who's not used to handling the football.
Well, as they work on Buttermore, the injured Raider, let's take another look.
Yeah, sort of a leg whip kind of situation there. And actually, the guy that's doing the whipping is the one that gets hurt. Again, it's always a chaotic situation. You see this in regular defense on screen plays when sort of half the teams are moving in one direction and half are moving the other. Unfortunate situation. Moving okay, but he does need a little help to get off the field, so that might be something that prevents him from returning today. We will see.
Well, at all levels of football, you hear about the injuries that occur, especially on special teams, and different rules have been changed to try and avoid some of this. But no matter what you do, if you have kicks and punts with coverage and guys running at full speed for 40, 50, 60 yards, there's going to be trouble.
Yeah, kicks, punts, and on the other side, offensively, defensively, with people playing so much spread football, that expands the field, and then they collide together when they come back, and so you just have these kinds of collisions in today's game.
Brian Shore under big pressure, and he is tackled, sacked by Carney. Big defensive stop on the first play from scrimmage for Colgate.
Well, this we talked about at halftime. They need to have some negative plays. Great job there at keeping leverage, not allowing Shore to shake free. That's a very important play, putting them in a big negative situation. Neither of these offenses are very adept at dropping back and completing sort of 15-yard in cuts and things of that sort. They are drive starters. They need to be table setters, get positive things going, and then hit shots from there on.
A loss of 12 on first down. Pass completed. Had to check down. And they get back near the original line of scrimmage, back out to the 30-yard line on what looked like a busted play. Joe Figueroa, though, able to bring down Khalid Abdullah.
Very nice play design here. Actually, the initial fake, if he'd have gone with that as well, that was wide open. So either of his two options, there were yards available.
So third down and 11. Shadows continue to be an issue. You see having to shade his eyes, Brian Shore, to look to the near sideline. His number 7 of 9. And he has been efficient with those 71 yards. And a touchdown. Shore. Now he's tracked down from behind. A second sack on this possession. Alex Campbell, the nose tackle.
Colgate's doing a nice job here, really mixing things up. He sets his guy down. They play what's called an X game. The outside guy comes down really hard. The defensive tackle sort of delays for just a second and then runs the corner tight. Does a great job there of executing the stunt.
7.5 sacks on the year now for the junior from Canonsburg, Pennsylvania, Alex Campbell, forcing the punt unit for James Madison on the field. It's returnable. Plenty of room on that corner. If he can keep his feet, it would have gone perhaps to the house. Instead, it's just a big return for the Raiders. Christian Hurtigree.
Get your eyes out here to the left side of the screen. Really a great job, a knockdown block that got this thing going. The ball was just flat enough to where the returner was able to have that moment to know something was going to happen. He's able to get himself started, but without that great block on the outside, the knockdown block, this thing doesn't get started.
There's a good look at the junior from Tampa, Florida, Christian Hurtigree, who gives Colgate tremendous position. The Raiders start their drive at the James Madison 37-yard line. And they'll keep it on the ground on first down. James Holland picks up 2.
I think if anything you can say that Colgate is not scared. They're not. This moment is not too big for them. They had some rough play there in the second quarter, but they've come out in the second half have a great defensive stop to start things off, have a nice special teams play to flip field position for them, and now they're in position to at least move down into field goal position. Very important from here to have a positive result on the end of this drive for this Colgate offense.
And we saw those numbers the first 3 drives as opposed to since, and all those yards since was the 163-yard touchdown run by James Holland. Other than that one play, James Madison's defense has allowed Colgate pretty much nothing since that first quarter.
Right, they've really started to key in on the inside runs, and we see here again a nothing play. The death by 1,000 paper cuts, which I keep beating that drum. 1-yard runs don't hurt you. 3 and 4 do because they reset the sequence. So they're in a situation now where 3rd and 5 to 6 really presses Melville to either have a big outside run or to complete a pass, which we haven't seen him have to do much of today.
Now the quarterback from Sparta, New Jersey. He keeps the football, makes one man miss. He got around Jordan Brown, and he's going in for a touchdown. Jake Melville, on a play that didn't appear to be going anywhere, he was able to beat Jordan Brown at the corner, and then he had daylight.
Well, giant foot in my mouth. They can get yards other ways than just throwing the football clearly, but this is one of those things that you sometimes can't figure out on tape as a defensive player. Understanding Jake Melville's got some serious speed, really not respecting it enough there at the quarterback position, takes a poor angle, and Jake is simply able to outrun the defensive back.
Well, he still has a ways to go to be mentioned in the same breath as Ryan Venna, Steve Calabria, the all-time leading passer in Colgate history. Ellery Huntington is an NFF Hall of Famer, but he's putting together a pretty good resume. The junior from Sparta, New Jersey. Well, he puts Colgate back in front, and what do you know? The Raiders lead the Dukes once again. A 32-yard touchdown run by the quarterback, Jake Melville, has put Colgate back in front 31-28 over James Madison.
Really a prudent decision here by Dan Hunt to put the ball back in his quarterback's hands. The passing game isn't their deal. We've seen that. They're more of a complimentary pass when you have to kind of deal. Getting Jake rolling by just saying, Jake, run. Jake, go make a play, and he does in a huge situation for his team.
Trying to keep the football out of the hands of Ravenel. He's able to come up and get that ball. He's on the move to the 50-yard line. And no matter what Colgate does, number 11 in purple continues to impact this football game.
It really does. That was a very dangerous play. Actually, a great kick by the kicker because he puts it up in the sun. There's some miscommunication on the back end, allows the ball to hit. That's dangerous with an end-over-end ball. But Ravenel picks it up and is able to explode and get down the field. The special teams has been a huge part of this game. Such an important element for really both sides.
Well, he got a good bounce. The junior from Stafford, Virginia, made the most of it. So the drive starts from the Colgate 47-yard line. Now, we saw those numbers for the quarterback for Colgate, Jake Melville. Total offense now for JMU. A lot of special teams yards being put on the board.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, as much special teams production as actual offensive production. That's been a big part of the Dukes' attack today.
That first down carry by Abdullah. Gain of 3. So it's 2nd down and 7. Brian Shore, quick pass over the middle, near first down yardage to Brandon Ravenel. Cameron Buttermore with the tackle. Looks like he might be about a yard short. And this rapid-fire JMU offense that wants to snap the football 15 to 18 seconds after it's placed by the official just keeps coming. First down and then some for Khalid Abdullah. Good drive by the junior from Newport News, Virginia.
Really a nice job here of a down block you see there from the left guard. Creates the space. Abdullah does a nice job of getting downhill inside of it.
1st and 10 at the Colgate 31. Shore hands off. Big hole up the middle for Abdullah again. And again, it's Kyle Diener with the tackle, but a big first down run. It'll bring up 2nd and short.
This is one of those small victories for an offensive line coach. They've really schemed up a nice thing here. They're taking advantage of this 3-man line, really creating nice gaps in there for the running game.
Off play action. Pass is completed to Davis, and he drops dead in his tracks by Chris Morgan.
Well, if you're Colgate, you're saying thank you. You've just rushed the ball on us a few times in a row, really starting to gash us. Go to the quick passing play, did an excellent job on the outside of doing the one-on-one tackle situation. You breathe a little bit of life back in the defense, put it into a third and now more of a question mark kind of situation.
3rd down and 2. Play clock down to 5. Don't say that often with the Dukes. Shore has it batted down at the line by Ben Anderson, the backup right end from Madison, New Jersey.
Ball disruption comes in many shapes and many forms. He beats the cut block, does a great job there of following it down with his hands and eyes, gets back to his feet, gets the ball disruption, knocks that thing down. Such a huge play. They really had something set up there on the outside. Work from the defensive end saved the day.
And so the field goal unit comes on for Ryan Maglio. This will be a 40-yard attempt. On the year, he is 11 of 13. They see 7th best percentage in FCS. The southpaw puts it up, and it is good. We are tied 31 apiece. Well, both teams come out to start the second half and put points on the board. Deadlock, 31 apiece. The quarterfinals of the FCS continue next weekend on ESPN and ESPN2. For more information, go to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 89 NCAA championships. With Matt Chatham, I'm Doug Sherman here in Harrisonburg, Virginia, where Colgate is giving James Madison all it can handle and then some, tied at 31 apiece. Thanks to the field goal by the Dukes.
One thing there to bookmark in your head, really confident kick, had plenty of extra leg on that thing. I know we're in a close game, but the lefty really hung that thing through the upright, so he had some more on that. Some more meat on the bone, potentially, if we get into a long field goal situation.
And that was Ryan Maglio with the 40-yard field goal to tie, and the other place kicker on the roster is Tyler Gray. He's their kickoff man, and so he has come onto the field. And back deep to receive is Colgate, standing at the 7-yard line. Ben Hunt takes it at the 4. Across the 20, across the 30, and out of bounds. That was actually Madaluna who wound up taking that kick. He was back there with Miller. And so Colgate gets the football back, trying to retake the lead, tied at 31.
Oh, interesting thing here, obviously, in the comparison to CAA teams versus Patriot League, sometimes there might be a gap of athleticism, some of that speed issue that you see, but you see Colgate continue to make plays out on the edges. Patriot League team here not being overwhelmed in the speed element, both on special teams and in their offensive categories. So really a nice sort of boost of momentum for them, encouraging that they come in here and are able to go toe-to-toe.
Yeah, the offensive coordinator for Colgate, Chris Young, former all-conference tight end at Colgate. He's a 1997 grad, back at his alma mater, where he's been an assistant coach for 13 years. He calls for a quarterback run. Jake Melville gains maybe a yard or two.
They are really spreading them out. Colgate's in this spread formation where 3 of the receivers are at the top of your screen, out beyond the hashes, really trying to thin the interior. Jake gets another one of these like he did around the edge a series ago. There's not much left at the second level. We don't have a free safety scanning at 15 yards. We're all down here involved in the run front.
2nd and 9. Melville keeps, and he trips over the 35-yard line, a gain of 2, and brings up 3rd and 7. Kyrie Hawkins, sophomore from Baltimore, with the tackle.
Well, the Dukes know as much. As I mentioned, it's kind of become the Jake Melville show, him or Holland, so they're able to really hard key on that. At some point, you may have to go to a keep them honest kind of play, one of those little tear screens, maybe the quick pass to the outside, maybe just quick slants, some easy completable ball to make the Dukes be honest. At this point, they don't have to play honest because there hasn't been much other a threat for at least the last quarter.
Play clock down to 6. Melville from his 30 fires, incomplete. Taylor Reynolds with the breakup.
Well, that was double slant, so that was sort of the play call I was talking about. I think Jake made an error here in that he has two options, the inside and the outside route. I think his inside slant is a little more available. Really tight coverage there on the outside, not able to get to it. The inside receiver is actually being covered up by the safety who's back at depth at about 10 yards. That inside slant is really a catch and run availability.
Nico Armiento, the punter for Colgate. On that possession, 3 plays, only 3 yards to the offense. Punt is bobbled, loose. Who's got it? Colgate football. Charles Carney, the outside linebacker on punt coverage, comes up with the football after Miller couldn't handle it.
Well, special teams has been a factor. JMU's gotten a lot of yardage out of their kick game, but they've also put the ball on the ground twice in special teams. Exceptional effort here. A lot of times making big plays on special teams comes down to that second effort, never giving up on the play. Got a lot of these grinders that make up your special teams unit, just going out, trying to affect the game in a positive manner for their team.
So how demoralizing for this defensive unit is it? You just had a great 3 and out, and then you're back out there.
Exactly. Expected a rest, maybe a little shot of Gatorade. You don't get it. You got to get back out and make a stop. Red zone defense.
1st and 10 at the JMU 23. Melville keeps a lot of purple jerseys in pursuit, so he just takes a slide and accepts the fact that he's going to lose yardage. Here's the rushing yardage. 196 yards on the season per game, already 224 and counting for the Raiders.
Well, that big play element, obviously Holland with a long touchdown run early in the game. I think we're seeing a situation now where they're really starting to key in on this. So a play action play of some sort, able to pull that from the gut and hit a pop pass of some sort to a tight end or a slant play. They really need to do something to loosen up this Duke score.
And Mataluna is in the slot to the right. Out there with Thomas Ives. Instead they keep it on the ground. Spinning is James Holland. Finally tackled at the 17-yard line. Taylor Reynolds. First team all Colonial Athletic Association with another tackle.
Holland reminds me a little bit of Doug Martin, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's not the fastest guy. They called him the whatever, muscle hamster or whatever it was, but he's got that sort of squattiness, power. Not a track star necessarily, but a guy with great instincts and nice forward lean.
But at the same time, and we were thinking the same thing, I think, when he broke free for 63 yards on a touchdown in the second quarter, he does have enough speed that guys can't catch him, but you're right, he certainly is no burner.
Absolutely.
3rd down and manageable. 3rd and 4. Melville puts it in the air to the end zone. It is caught. Alex Greenawalt for a touchdown.
That's complete to Greenawalt. Touchdown, Colgate.
Well, this is very not a traditional passing attack. We'll put it that way. It's a lot of running game in these 50-50 balls and shot situations, and credit the Colgate Raiders for taking advantage. They don't get many of them, but they've been winning on a lot of these jump balls to the outside.
That's his 4th touchdown reception of the year. Tops on the team with his teammate John Quazza, who had his 4th back in the first quarter.
Well, a big part of the job title for these guys is to block. I mean, they block on the edges, block, hard hat work throughout the day until they finally get that one opportunity to get a shot. And they made it. They took advantage.
Jonah Bowman with the PAT. It's good. Colgate has cleaned up that PAT this week after trouble last week against UNH. The Raiders back in front of the Dukes, doing it through the air as well as the ground. Because Colgate has scored so many touchdowns today, Brandon Ravenel has had plenty of opportunities on kick returns.
Ravenel hasn't gotten his touches on offense, but he certainly has gotten them on kick return. One of the most explosive players in this game, and he gets his plays when he gets his chance. Put that thing in his hand, and he's going to explode. Great job here also by the special teams unit, because you see Ravenel not having to break many tackles until he hits that second wave. Does a good job with his vision, a good job of explosion, good job taking advantage of a lucky bounce there, and just really getting in the hole shot and getting up the field.
And you can see why he had scholarship offers from FBS schools, Boston College, Purdue, West Virginia, and Temple. He is explosive, and he has been able to keep the Dukes in great field position so far off of his kick returns. Another opportunity here, but you know Colgate's going to try and keep the football away again. It's a short kick, and, well, he's up to get it at the 22-yard line. Makes the first man miss, and a much better job this time by the Raiders on coverage.
Really unusual situation there. If you're going to do a short kick and you have the ability to do it directionally, and you're obviously conceding some yards by kicking it so short, why directionally kick to the guy you don't want to have touch the ball? They easily could have kicked at the other side. They had two short returners. Kind of an oddball deal there to concede the yards, but also to put it to the guy you don't want to get the touch, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. And I think for fans like myself, you wonder about that sort of thing all the time. And even on a regular kickoff, why does it always go to the guy you don't want it to go to?
It's a little easier to directionally kick when you're doing a little short pop kick. When you bomb it and try to go into the corner, then you get a little dangerous that the thing might go out of bounds, and that concedes a lot of field position as well.
Well, the total yards for JMU better on kick returns than from scrimmage on offense. On first down, short gain for the Dukes as they try to answer back.
I'm obviously, as a former special teams player, a big advocate about that being a part of the game. You can imagine if each of these kicks had been touchbacks. It takes a huge element away from both of these teams.
The handoff goes to the running back, Carton Johnson, and he has nowhere to go, chased out of bounds by Joe Figueroa.
Understandably, you know, Carton Johnson and Abdullah really have been a tick-and-tack kind of situation. Who's going to get the hot hand? But Johnson's given the sideways play. This is the play where they had some penetration up early. You're not really able to see what the back can do because it's strung out so well with the front.
Dean Cheatham goes into the slot right. Three receivers that way. Brian Shore rolling, being pursued by Brett Field, who dives, can't make the play, and the Colgate defense able to recover and bring him down for no gain. That's a long way to run for nothing, and so now the punt unit will come back out for the Dukes.
You do see Shore's speed and ability there to break contain. The defensive end makes him go wide and really extend the play. Does a nice job there, but the inability to keep his eyes downfield and still make something of that. You really got to, there's a lot of chaos, a little recess going on in the back end, but Shore became a little bit preoccupied with the rusher, not able to keep his eyes up and make a play down the field.
Christian Hardigree going to have to go back to get to this one. Makes an over-the-shoulder catch at the 12. And the Dukes on coverage were tremendous. Colgate going to start at its own 15-yard line. Well, let's take a look at the miscues that have really impacted this football game, Matt.
Well, a lot of them have, as we mentioned, come on special teams. That on the kickoff early in the game, and Colgate capitalizes right away. We've seen the ball on the ground on special teams, as we mentioned. This one on a punt, and it comes down to hustle. Somebody's got to get the ball. Who wants it more? Colgate in this instance. Colgate doesn't have a lot of passing game, but when they do go after shots, they've done a great job of winning those 50-50 balls on the outside.
Dan Hunt, the head coach of Colgate, a native of Canajoharie, New York, has his team in position to pull the upset of the weekend in the FCS championship. Up 7 with the football. On first down, James Holland still going. He's going to pick up 8 yards, and here come the Raiders once again.
We skipped over it. I apologize for that, but really a nice job there of the Dukes special teams that pinned them deep. That was an exceptional punt, flat, low, long, and the coverage unit did a great job. They're able to get back 9 yards here on first down, but the Dukes' ability to pin them deep after a disappointing offensive series, a nice little bump that they haven't gone in the tank.
They say it's an 8-yard pickup, second down and 2 for Jake Melville. Throws right. He's got blockers to the 25, to the 30. Tackled from behind. Nice job to come and close by the inside linebacker, Gage Steele. Otherwise, that could have been a really big play.
Yeah, these are the kinds of plays that look like they're available each and every down. They just don't go there because they found the productivity in the running game around the core of the formation. But these little extended plays where defensive backs play after play are getting run blocked on, you just have to take that test every once in a while. Sometimes they're available.
Madaluna gains 8 yards and a first down. He's got 3 catches for only a total of 9 yards here this afternoon. Hand off, and look at that. Sniffed out beautifully for a big loss. Hussein Jacques, senior from Springdale, Maryland.
Yeah, Jacques does a really great job here at beating his guy because they're trying to use a puller to get to him. So he's got to basically beat the guard to the point of attack. He ducks past there a little bit, gets in the backfield. Either decision Jake would have made really wouldn't be good enough. In the gut, it's a problem. He pulls it down. He's probably in trouble as well.
So a loss of 5 brings up 2nd down and 15 for Colgate. We should mention a tremendous group of supporters who've made the trip from upstate New York, from Hamilton, New York, where Colgate University is, in the far stands. Had a wide open receiver, but Madaluna had no chance to catch that pass.
Well, I'm no quarterback guru, but the mechanics here for Jake Melville aren't great. He's got time to step into that throw, but he kind of steps away. So he's kind of coming off of his heels, and he air mails that one a little bit. As you mentioned, Doug, wide open. Great job of there, the scheme of getting something free, but fortunately for Colgate, Jake wasn't able to connect.
And so unlike what Colgate usually has, 3rd and short, they've got 3rd and 15. And it's going to be an empty backfield for Melville.
Yeah, you talk about 3rd and manageable for this offense. That's usually 3rd and 5 or less. The Dukes have done a great job here putting them in an uncomfortable spot.
Melville scrambling. He's going to try and run for the first down. And he is going to get there, stepping out of bounds just a yard past the marker. Well, they spread the field, and it worked out very well.
The real difference maker here is sort of your nickel linebacker. You'll see him off the ball. Watch Jake just dead leg him. Put him right in the ground and then run past him. That's just one athlete being better than the other in space. That was very much individual effort. You have an unblocked player in the secondary. Jake just has to beat him with foot speed, and there he does.
89 yards rushing so far in this football game for the quarterback. Again, he is the leading rusher this year for Colgate. But he's got tremendous running backs as well with Holland and Russell, and they keep it on the ground on first down. That's James Holland, who has been productive, tackled by Enkra. 1 minute to go here in the 3rd quarter. Colgate led by 17 right out of the gate, 17-0. James Madison stormed back in the 2nd quarter. And Colgate has not gone away.
You really get the sense that this Melville is a tough kid. I mean, he's really bounced back well after the mistakes he's had and really controlling tempo now for his offense.
Now the season now 925 yards rushing. Here's the pass complete to Thomas Ives, who continues to produce as his freshman season has gone on. Big last week against UNH, another big catch here.
Yeah, Ives is uncovered. So in this slot, basically the guy who's responsible for him is off at 10 yards. So these are essentially look passes. Jake just has to make a decision and say, I'm going to you. You're uncovered. It becomes a run after the catch play. Make use of the space that the formation gives you.
And the Raiders are happy to let the clock run out for the final 15 seconds of this 3rd quarter. You got a good look at Thomas Ives, freshman from Hinsdale, Illinois. His 2nd career playoff game. And how about the folks from Colgate University? Well, if they looked at the line coming in, they thought, well, this is going to be a long trip down to Virginia, but they're 15 minutes away from going back to upstate New York with an upset victory. Dan Hunt's game plan here at Bridgeforth Stadium this afternoon for Colgate was control the clock, control the football, and so far so good.
Yeah, JMU's not going to be as concerned with time of possession, but they want the volume of plays. To be even would be a loss. To have a deficit as they do, that's really impressive football by Colgate, flipping the script.
Start of the 4th quarter, Colgate keeps it on the ground and keeps that clock running. Gain of 3 for James Holland.
Now this is such an important drive here to finish off and cap for Colgate or to get a stop for JMU. They've done a nice job, as we mentioned, as Colgate in controlling time of possession and chewing up some clock here on this drive, but to have it result in nothing, knowing that the game here is still within a score, would be a huge momentum shift for the Dukes.
149 yards on the ground. Hey, he didn't score a touchdown in the third quarter. That's a huge break.
That's unusual.
He had scored a touchdown in each of the last 6 Colgate quarters, trying to pick up where he left off here in the fourth. Gain of 3. That'll leave it. It's 3rd down and 4. Johnson and Steele on the tackle.
Well, you respect this. As a football player, I respect this about James Holland. He is not a 4-3, 4-4 kind of back. He's probably a 4-7 or whatever it is. He detected as he headed to the edge without blockers, if he'd have been one of these 4-4 guys, he's running that around the edge. But he knew that's not him, so he turns it upfield, and he's a tough kid, puts his head down and just tries to plow forward as much as he can get. Has nice instincts, great balance, toughness, all as we've seen, but he also knows who he is.
He's a guy who head coach Dan Hunt learned about because of a Colgate alumnus who worked at the Kings Academy down in Florida and said, hey, this kid's pretty good, you better take a look.
Yes, he is.
Melville able to escape the rush. Pass off the fingertips of John Quazza. Incomplete, so 4th down at the 35. If you're Colgate here, Matt, what do you do?
You know, I don't think those 20 yards of field position you'd get back in a punt are really as important to them as maybe a conversion, because JMU can go 90 just as easily as they can go 70. They don't have a field goal kicker that can clearly kick it from this distance. Punting, as I mentioned, nets you only an additional maybe 20 yards if you do it right. As I assume they would, they're going to go ahead and go for this. A 4-yard conversion with their spread offense, that's very doable. That's in their sort of comfortable range.
Colgate 1 for 1 on 4th down, nearly 70% on the year in these situations. Melville throws deep over the middle, and it's incomplete. James Madison's defense holds. John Wilkins was the intended receiver.
It's such an aggressive play, and I would be wrong to say that they shouldn't, because they've scored on a couple shots today, so that's clearly worked for them. But when you get them to a 4th and 4, the quick passing game, the routes break on 3-step passing at around 5 to 6 yards. So you've got 5 eligible receivers out there, a lot of guys available at the sticks to take a shot down the field in that situation if you're just simply looking to advance the sticks and keep the drive alive. Very aggressive play call. Doesn't work out for him on this particular instance.
Yeah, thanks to good coverage by the free safety Raven Green, a junior from Virginia Beach. And so James Madison takes over, down a touchdown, early 4th quarter. Quarterback Brian Shore. And they go up the middle on the ground for a nice pickup on 1st down. Charles Carney on the tackle of Carden Johnson.
And I think Shore's really moving his guys much in the way that Jake Melville did. It's back to tempo, back to getting the ball in his hand and getting things moving downhill. No more of these negative plays from the Colgate defense.
This time not much room to run. And that'll bring up 3rd down. Cameron Buttermore on the stop of Johnson. Good balance for the JMU rushing attack. Abdullah 47 yards. Johnson 47 yards. Shore puts it up. And it is complete into Colgate territory. 1st down to Damo Taylor.
Yeah, you've got a lot of aggressive player in the box. Everyone's sucked in. It becomes a one-on-one game on the outside. And credit Brian Shore for really putting the nice ball out there. Tempo passing, something he only does 5, 6, 7 times a game, but he did it very accurately on that play.
Shore at a good pocket, finds Ravenel out of bounds inside the 30-yard line. It's another JMU 1st down.
JMU really willing to open things up now. Obviously, they're behind a bit in the game by a single score. They've gone away from the running game, and they've found some life. Colgate's playing a decent amount here of off coverage, so there's certainly space to work with in the secondary.
Johnson tackled at the 30 for no gain. Charles Carney made the hit.
I think you might be just looking at JMU trying to keep the Colgate defense honest. They're going to give them this much grace on the outside. There's that lure to want to get those balls to the outside. If you're going to give us that much space, we're going to take advantage of it to pull you back up here into the formation.
Shore again to the air. He's got an open man. Walking into the end zone is Rashard Davis.
Quick arithmetic here. If you feel like we got about 7 in the box, you got a deep safety to the outside. This hits underneath your flat defender. This is called a 7-route flag, whatever you want to call it. But he's breaking away from the underneath defender, and the safety who's on top of it can't get there. Why? His eyes are in the backfield. A lot of concentration on that JMU run game. Colgate there gets caught in the middle. And we talked about how important smart football was in this game for Colgate. They've given up 2 scores on busts.
Davis's second touchdown reception of the football game has drawn James Madison back into a tie at 38 apiece. There's a good look at Wilson Hall, the signature building here at James Madison. And welcome back to Jimmy V Week for Cancer Research on ESPN as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Valvano's dream to defeat cancer. Help us beat cancer by logging on to jimmyv.org or by calling 1-800-4JIMMY-V to donate, and all donations benefit the V Foundation for Cancer Research. A beautiful December afternoon for college football here in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and the folks dressed in purple, about 17,000 of them. Well, I think they're surprised by the fact that Colgate has 38 points on the board. We're tied here in the 4th.
This is great FCS playoff football, though. I mean, these teams have both earned the right to be here. Colgate, obviously, 7 to 8 times smaller than is JMU. Sort of coming here and fighting the giant, but they've got a fight in their hands. Very entertaining game.
Madaluna backpedals into the end zone, and he's going to bring it out. To the 10, out to the 20, where he stumbles and is dropped at about the 22-yard line. Well, the last drive, as we take a look back, JMU moving it down the field.
A lot of passing game in this drive. Brian Shore showing the ability to really hit some tempo passing, and then at the final end of this thing, get a busted coverage. A lot of that luring you to sleep with the things that JMU usually does so well. Does a great job there of finding the vacancy in the secondary, capitalizing with the score.
And Everett Withers Club, even without their all-conference quarterback Bad Lee, the conference player of the year out with a broken foot, continues to be able to move the football and put points on the board. Now the defense needs to stop Colgate if they're going to try and win this football game. Jake Melville, the junior quarterback, hands it off to James Holland, the sophomore running back, and a good pickup on first down for the Raiders.
Holland's been doing a great job, and we're used to seeing the 2-back situation, sometimes 3. Demetrius Russell hasn't had much of a role today. They're just really feeding James Holland, and that time he gets a nice big chunk on the edge there, 6 yards to start off the series.
There you see a career-high 158 yards rushing. He had gone for 141 against Holy Cross. And the big chunk for Holland came on the second quarter long touchdown run that covered 63 yards. 2nd and 4. Melville keeps, and he's going to have a first down and more. He's to midfield. Melville to the 40. It's a foot race to the end zone. And he is dragged down at the 5-yard line. Another huge pickup for the Colgate offense.
Well, we just walked through a graphic of the amazing game on the ground that Holland's having. He brings the defense. They swarm to him like bees. Melville pulls it out, and you see the open field speed that this guy has. This is closer. Center is just as dangerous as anyone he could potentially hand it off to.
The Gate is back in scoring position at the 5-yard line. If not for the tackle by Raven Green, they would have already retaken the lead. On the ground, JMU's defense stops him for a 1-yard gain.
And as odd as it sounds, and obviously presuming that Colgate's able to finish this off with a score, not scoring could almost be a benefit, because any more time left on that clock for JMU is always a threat for them to go down the other direction.
How about that? Melville also has a career high in rushing at 155 yards.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah, friendly competition between the backfield mates, Holland and Melfield. Let's see who's going to get the next rep. Melville keeps, follows the lead block of Holland, and he's in for the touchdown.
This is more like almost the veer as you used to see in the old sort of wing tee kind of thing, because it hits more on an angle. He's using his near back as a lead blocker for an edge run. A little bit different sort of wrinkle there. That playbook for Colgate is very deep. You see very normalized, simplistic running in the NFL these days. This Colgate offense is very diverse in the way that they can put points on the board on the ground.
The PAT is missed. Dan Hunt looks on, wondering if that point will cost them.
Smart football, as we mentioned, missing extra points. Don't qualify.
Well, Dan Hunt, 18-year assistant under the legendary Dick Biddle. His offense putting up points again today. The NCAA FCS Football Championship has been presented by Northwestern Mutual. Well, a year ago, Jonah Bowman was first-team All-Patriot League as a place kicker. This year, he has struggled, including a missed PAT moments ago.
He has a goofy approach. You don't see much like that where he sort of puts his arms up in front of his chest. Not sure what that's all about. Didn't affect his kick necessarily, but just simply wide right. Pushes it to the right. Didn't step and swing the leg correctly, and missed what could be a very important play.
And they missed a couple of PATs in the win over UNH last week. Didn't cost them, but it certainly could cost them here. Plenty of time on the clock. 9:15 remaining in the fourth quarter. James Madison down 6. And that goes into the end zone, where finally picked up for a touchback by Ravenel.
That's a huge play. I mean, let's be honest. What we've seen thus far in this game, getting that ball past the returner and force it to be down, could be worth 20 to 30 yards of field position. Actually executing that kick in a manner where he wasn't able to field it. Big play.
We're in Harrisonburg, Virginia, with Matt Chatham, the former New England Patriot, 3-time Super Bowl champion. I'm Doug Sherman, as James Madison and Colgate play a thriller for a spot in the quarterfinal round next weekend. And it is going to be a heartbreaker for one of these teams, whoever walks off this turf in about an hour with a loss.
That's true, Doug. I think both these teams have done a lot of good things. Colgate more so than you would have expected.
JMU on first down. Play gets blown up. How about the big hit by Kyle Diener, now with 11 tackles, 8 of them solos.
Diener with the run through. Diener with a great play. I mean, had Short pulled the ball out. Who knows where he goes from there, but what a great explosiveness and aggressiveness. You love to see that from your players.
It was a loss of 4. Shore standing tall, didn't feel the pressure, had the pass knocked away from behind. Looks like either got a piece of the football or his arm by Brett Field.
Great job here, win on the outside, scissors his arms away. He's a little bit deep, so he's beyond the level of the quarterback, able to get that right arm in there and catch some elbow. Because he's so deep, he took that rush all the way around the world. Shore's isn't aware that he's even back there. And
I beg your pardon, it looked like that was a Frié who made that play. So an incomplete pass, 3rd down and 14. As you saw a moment ago, Vadley, the injured all-conference quarterback, nothing he can do about this. Watching his backup from Milford, Pennsylvania, Brian Shore, trying to rally the Dukes. Whistle before the snap. Timeout. James Madison. Everett Withers wants to talk it over.
Well, these negative plays have been very important for the Colgate defense. I mean, a series ago, they're moving the ball down the field. JMU is on the Colgate defense through the passing game, getting the negative play in the run game, and then getting the not strip sack, but the sort of tip of the arm to get the pass breakup. How important is that to put JMU into this third and uncomfortable situation? Yes, both teams have had some game-breaking plays in the passing game, but neither of these are comfortable in sort of a pro-style situation where you sit back and pick apart 15-yard tempo routes. Both are really looking for broken plays to get these kinds of chunk yards in the passing game.
On third down conversions, Colgate 8 of 15, James Madison 6 of 13. And so the Raiders defense has really, even though they have allowed 38 points, done a decent job.
Yeah, I mean, as much as you can expect, understanding that these are two pretty explosive offense. Those conversion rates, I think, are in large part due to the manner they've gotten them to in third down. Not a lot of 3rd and 15s, many more 3rd and 4s and 5s.
Absolutely. This is 3rd and 14. Shore under pressure again, gets it off. It's complete to Abdullah to the 30. And he's going to be stopped about 4 yards shy of a first down. So the Colgate defense again comes up. It's Christian Hardigree who brought him down.
Big stop there for the Raider defense. Obviously, we've seen the factor that special teams has played in this game to get a flip of field position here, though. Even there's a tinge of disappointment, obviously, there for JMU. They're doing sort of a goofy formation here, running to the line quickly, but need a lot of net yardage out of this to put Melville and Colgate in the hole.
And so Hardigree now back deep to receive at his own 31-yard line. Armiento, the punter, gets it away, and Hardigree calls for a fair catch as he backpedals inside the 20.
It was a bomb. That was a huge punt, great hang time, good directional work there. Sends the punt returner retreating where only he can fair catch that punt.
Colgate is feeling it here on the road this afternoon. Let's take a look at the yards for Holland and Melville, both with their career highs for a single game.
A lot of work on the ground there. I mean, this is an unusual box score as you see in college football. Ton on the ground, over 300 yards of work in really a cat and mouse kind of game between those two guys.
That was the game plan coming in, as it has been all year for Colgate. Keep it on the ground and keep the football in your possession. 1st and 10. Run play. JMU stacks them up. Holland had nowhere to run thanks to Andrew Ankra.
Sometimes it's not necessary to communicate these kinds of things. You're certainly not trying to jinx your guys if you believe in things like that. But ball possession, huge right now. I mean, as a coaching staff, you have to say, guys, you're holding the egg, you're holding our win. We need advancements here. We need conversions, but we need to hang on to that. Any big negative play pulls JMU back into the contest.
2nd and 9. They give to Holland, and again the JMU defense just stacks him up. Nowhere to go thanks to Alex Mosley and Cornell Urquhart.
Now, and this is the benefit that you get for JMU of getting a couple negative plays early. You, again, put the pressure on Colgate to be the kind of offense they usually are. 3rd and 11, probably prompting some sort of drop back pass and a quick series. Those first 2 run plays went pretty quickly.
Third down and 10. Melville to pass. Rolling right, throws on the run. Dangerous pass, nearly intercepted by Taylor Reynolds. And the JMU defense with a 3 and out.
Really great defense here. Nice break on the ball. Floats a little bit from Melville. Doesn't get his feet set on the move. You can still get some base under you. He kind of lets that thing go. Again, pretty fortunate because he throws it high enough and outside. We're not talking pick 6 territory, but interception of some sort. Really dodged one there.
A young man who came here to JMU to play quarterback. That's why he wears number 14 like he did in high school in Newark, Delaware. But he has turned into a tremendous quarterback on defense for the Dukes. Armiento gets the punt away. Fielded at the 40 with room to run for the Dukes. It's an 11-yard return. And James Madison, down 6, is set up in tremendous field position. Rashard Davis on the return. The Dukes trying to retake the lead. Colgate trying to hang on with 6:12 to play. Colgate and James Madison playing for a spot in the quarterfinals next weekend. They'll face the winner of tonight's game between Sam Houston State and McNeese State, which you can see here on ESPN3 at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. There is one final score from the second round so far today. William and Mary blown out by the Richmond Spiders, 48-13. So the Spiders move on. Not good news for JMU fans around here. They don't like the Spiders so much. Not too far from here to Richmond.
Well, they've got something else on their plate just as serious. They need to get this thing rolling. This looked like it was very nearly a negative play, but the ability to restart in the backfield saves them several yards there on first down.
Abdullah picked up 7. It's second down and 3. Shore steps up. Now he's going to run. First down, Dukes tackled at the 35-yard line. Charles Carney and Pat Afriye on the hit.
Afriye does a good job there retracing and getting back to the quarterback, but Shore out in space does a nice job of making a decision there, getting downhill, getting the yards they need. I think as a defender, and obviously understanding, yes, you do have the lead, but you understand what happened on the extra point. They score, they go ahead. You have to sort of sense blood in the water. You get Shore out there in open space, you got to get that ball off of him. Hard hits aren't as much as a benefit of actually ball possession. Getting a big negative play or knocking it off the quarterback, that's just as valuable.
5.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Big hole for Abdullah. And it's another James Madison first down, and could have been more if not for Chris Morgan.
Yeah, this is just a bizarre situation because the game, that sequence has changed so much because of the mixed extra point. JMU has the momentum. Big hole there opens up, gets downhill in a hurry. Knowing to score here changes the leader of the game. Colgate's got to get stopped.
Abdullah into the red zone, still driving forward down near the 15-yard line. And it looked like a marker on the play. This has been a pretty much penalty-free football game.
Maybe that's why this has been so enjoyable, Doug. That's great. It's a good point. We have not seen flags today at all.
Had one personal foul in the first half, and I think this is the
personal
second.
Foul, face mask on the defense, number 4. That penalty is half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
So Josh Ford, the guilty party, senior from Paladon, New Jersey. And so now JMU knocking on the door with 5:07 on the clock. Apparently it was not number 4 we see right there. He was not involved in the play. Nonetheless, first and goal. Down to the 5-yard line, Abdullah. He stood up. It'll be second and goal from the 5. Brett Field making the stop, a junior out of Durhamville, New York, from Vernon Verona Sherrill High School.
Well, defensively, obviously Colgate needs to dial one up here because these inside gaps have really been where they've hit them, and there's enough time on the clock that in the event it happens to be a quick score, their offense can fight back. They need to make a stand, though, and really force these things to the edges.
Shore going to try and run it, and the defense was ready.
So I actually think that's a great decision by Brian Shore. I think he does a nice job of realizing that his guys are covered up. There could be the temptation there to force a ball into a tight coverage. Pulls it down, lives the fight another day. They're still within a distance in 4-down territory where much can be made of the sequence about making a really critical error deep in the red zone.
Now, is JMU taking more time than usual? Are they, they don't slow down for anything, but in this situation, it would make sense they want to chew up clock.
Yeah, because, exactly, Doug. They don't want to leave 4 full minutes on the clock in the event that they score here quickly.
Shore gives Abdullah. Ford with the tackle. And that brings up 4th and goal from the 3.
It's slight hyperbole to say this is your ball game because in the event that Colgate gets another sequence, it's possible JMU could get a stop and leave a few seconds on the clock. But this is pretty close to being the ball game right here. This is a very important stop. Colgate gets it. They'll have an opportunity to run the thing out. JMU gets it, and they obviously the strip the swim.
Abdullah, the running back, goes wide left. Empty backfield for Brian Shore.
Timeout, James Madison. Their second charge timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
And so the Dukes, under the direction of head coach Everett Withers, will talk it over.
One of the things I think is really important here, and you sometimes don't see this with college players, that sort of go do this, Jimmy, and Jimmy goes and does this. It's sort of a coach-led kind of thing, but disguising your front is so important. In other words, maybe lining in one thing and stemming to something else, because JMU is going to the sideline here. They're drawing up whatever special wicked run play they've got against whatever comes out against them. They just saw one thing. Now they're huddling and talking about it. If you have the wherewithal with your guys to get out there and stand in one thing and quick move to something else, you can create an error. If you stand in your coverage, if you stand in your run front, they're preparing pretty well, and JMU's a pretty well-lit group to take advantage of.
Dan Hunt and Everett Withers, the two head coaches, fighting for a spot in the FCS quarterfinals next weekend. What do the Dukes have up their sleeves on 4th and goal from the 3-yard line? Dean Cheatham in the slot to the left. Damo Taylor wide left. Brandon Ravenel right. The running back is Abdullah. Brian Shore, long snap count. Play clock down to 5. Shore back to pass. Lobs it up for Ravenel. And it is incomplete. Josh Ford with the breakup, and Colgate takes over on downs.
The call by the Colgate defense here was to pump the inside linebackers. Actually a nice job of pickup by JMU on the pressure, but just a one-on-one play. You want to win in the playoffs, somebody's got to make a play. In this instance, cornerback does a great job of getting his hands up through the pocket, getting the PBU.
So now if you're James Madison, you've only got 1 timeout remaining, 3 minutes on the clock. Colgate going to look to run out the clock, but they've got to be careful taking over at their own 3-yard line.
You've got the kind of ball handlers in Holland and both Jake Melville to really put this thing away. The ball possession is so obviously of critical importance now.
Melville hands it off. Gain of 3 on first down for the Colgate Raiders.
Well, the arithmetic is such that we still may have to have a punt here if for some reason Colgate's not able to get a conversion.
There's the ball control for the day. Colgate has followed its script. The Raiders have dominated time of possession. JMU's plays per game, they usually snap the football over 80 times. They haven't even reached 60 yet today. Play clock at 3. Keep Melville, and he's pretty close to another first down. Raven Green on the stop. He's going to be, it looks like, about a yard short.
If you're a defensive player here for the Dukes right now, you really have to key on Melville. They don't want to risk a ball handling issue of him pulling it out of Holland's gut or sticking it in and thinking it's in and having the ball go on the ground. The easiest thing is for him to fake the hand up, hold it himself, and really hang on to that thing. In other words, you got to key on the quarterback. You got to strip at it. You got to punch at it. You can't be fooled when he pulls it out. You have to almost expect that.
Second team all-conference quarterback. Hands it off. Big hit up front, Simeon Robinson, and it's going to be close.
You see, that's such a dangerous situation. That ball is in his gut right at the point he's being contacted. If you get a collision at the mesh point, this could be a fumble. Not so much. But again, Holland really churns those legs. He's contacted there at a point which the conversion might not have happened, but the defensive tackle is actually spun around on contact with the back, and the way he falls actually helps the run.
And that first down could have sealed it for Colgate. How about the leading rushers, Holland and Melville, both adding on to their own personal career single game bests. And now James Madison is going to use its final timeout with 1:06 on the clock. That was a big 1 yard they just picked up there.
A huge yard. Bigger than most yards. Yes, great job there by James Holland. Something we've seen a lot out of him in the last couple of weeks. Just a gutsy player, really tough kid. Got hit, contacted there by a defensive tackle that probably outweighs him by 50, 60, 70 pounds. But he takes the collision, keeps churning, falls forward, really saving the day there for Colgate. They needed that yard.
Well, Colgate, as you see, has only gone past the first round once in this playoff. That was in 2003 when Coach Hunt was the offensive coordinator under Dick Biddle. Now they are on the verge of winning a second game this year and moving on to the quarterfinal round.
I think the thing that's most impressive, this team really mirrors their head coach, a tough guy, a guy that came in here in this environment and didn't seem overwhelmed by it. Obviously Colgate, tiny little school, tiny little venue that they play in typically, not overwhelmed by the atmosphere at all.
Taking a knee is Jake Melville as the fans here at Bridgeforth Stadium head to the exits.
Such an amazing venue here at JMU. This is really one of the cool places in all of FCS football. The sort of bank here, a wall of sound that you get from the main stands. It shook at times during this game. And for Colgate, as I mentioned, tiny school plays in environments that sometimes feel like almost high school environments. And I don't say that in a derogatory manner. It's just the size of the schools that they play in. Able to come in and not be overwhelmed by the moment. Comes in, plays big boy ball in a big boy venue.
With no ability to stop the clock, JMU has nothing it can do as Melville takes a knee, and that will do it. Dan Hunt and the Colgate Raiders come from Central New York to the Shenandoah Valley and upset the Dukes of James Madison. Final score 44-38.
Wow. Huge spread coming into this game. They were huge underdogs, were the Colgate Raiders. They came in here. They weren't shaken by the moment. Dan Hunt's guys get a huge victory, advance to the next round. They're alive. Win in advance.
The biggest underdog in this second round of the FCS championship will play another day. Colgate upsets JMU. The winning streak goes to 7. Dan Hunt's club will be practicing again this coming week. Back in Harrisonburg, Virginia, where the underdog Colgate Raiders live to play another day. They advance onto the quarterfinal round of the FCS championship with a 44-38 win over James Madison. With Matt Chatham, I'm Doug Sherman. We're pleased to be joined by Dan Hunt, the head coach of the Raiders. And, well, you're from Canajoharie, New York. You're heading back to upstate New York with a second win this playoff. How did you guys get it done?
Well, I just think the recipe was the same that we kind of had all year. Offensively, we were able to run the ball and kind of control the clock a little bit. And defensively, I know we gave up a lot of points, but, some of that was on the offense with the interception, and we didn't cover kicks real well. And, defense just made plays when they had to. I can't tell you how many games we've had this year that have come down to the defense making a stop in the red zone. And these kids, they never stop believing in what we could do, and, they just make it a joy to work with them.
Coach, can you talk about sort of the Patriot League team here now knocking off a couple of big stalwarts in the CAA, coming into a gorgeous environment like this and not being afraid of the moment?
Yeah, that's our kids. They knew, we said at the beginning of the game that, James Madison didn't recruit any of these guys, and they kind of play with that chip on their shoulder a little bit. And, we knew obviously they're a great team, and this is just, to be honest with you, I think this environment helps our kids. We don't get to do this very often, and I think that they, I knew I'd have no trouble motivating them. But they believe they're a good football team, and they just want to go out week in, week and prove it.
Well, the formula for you guys was control the football, control the clock. Melville and Holland both get their own individual career highs here today in rushing yardage. It seemed to work out just as you would want, right, Coach? Yeah,
that's exactly what you want. Other than the little glitch before halftime with the interception, that's what we wanted to do. That's what we do, and we throw it just enough to keep you honest when we have to. But we go as far as the run game takes us, and those two are just a great combination back there, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Can you talk about Jake's toughness a little bit? Obviously, he had the ugly play there in the second quarter. I think some of the best play we saw from him actually came after his mistake.
Yeah, he was, sometimes he's a kid when he makes a mistake like that. We really got to work to pick him back up, but not today. He shook it right off, and he said, I'm fine, it was on me. And you're right, I think he played even better. He was really seeing things in the second half really well, making adjustments in the run game. And this is a tough place. We couldn't hear a lot. And, he's done this every week. He shows up and gets better and better, and he's gotten better as the season's gone on, and he got better as the game went on today.
Well, Coach, you spent the better part of the last 2 decades in Hamilton, New York. You spent 18 years under the legendary Dick Biddle. Now it's your program to run. You were part of that team in 2003 that made it all the way to the championship game. What does this win, a second win, mean for you in this program?
Well, I think it means that, we can play good football at Colgate on a national level. And I told them before the start of the game, this team's starting to remind me a little bit of that 2003 team. They're not cocky at all, but they're confident, and they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They know they're a good football team, and they're starting to play that way. So hopefully we can get as far as that one did, and maybe one more.
Congratulations, Coach. Survive and advance. That's the theme of the playoffs, and you've done it.
Amen.
Nice job.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dan.
His Raiders improved to 9-4 on the year with their 7th straight win. They ran the table in the Patriot League 6-0 in regular season play. Now they've knocked off consecutive CAA teams, and we're pleased now to be joined by the sophomore running back of Colgate, James Holland, who set a new personal single-game rushing record, 165 yards, 27 carries. But, James, you only had 2 touchdowns today. Last week, 4. What does it feel like for you guys to come into this environment and pick up this kind of win?
Well, we knew coming into the game that, they thought they were going to just roll over us. And we've been the underdogs every game, and we love it. We love it. We take advantage of our opportunities that are given to us, and we're trying to keep rolling.
Talk about some of the communication that goes on that sideline, even at halftime, where you guys had jumped out in front of them. Then they punched back and took the lead. You guys did not fold, came out and played some great football in the second half.
This hasn't been anything new for us. Like, all year, we've been having to battle through adversity, being behind, having to come back. So it's nothing to us now. We're clicking right now. We're clicking.
Well, James, we just saw your first touchdown, the short run, but how about the long one? Take us through that 63-yard touchdown run.
Well, our line did a great job. I saw both linebackers blitzed, and the hole was huge. Our line gave me a great hole, and I just had to make a move on one guy and make a miss, and I saw daylight.
Here in the FCS playoffs, obviously you don't always get to play in venues like this, a really cool stadium, tough atmosphere. Can you talk about your guys going on the road and really not being overcome by the moment?
We love it. We love this environment. We wish we could play in front of this every game. 24,000, all the fans going against us. We love that.
Now, we understand you were practicing in upstate New York in short sleeves despite some snow this week. You're a Florida kid. How does a Florida kid wind up dealing with the elements as well as you have?
I'm just starting to get used to it. I'm starting to love the weather. I mean, it's tough. When I go back home, I'm blazing hot. But, I mean, I'm starting to get used to it. I love New York.
Well, you were blazing hot today. We appreciate you taking a couple of minutes and stopping by. Congratulations, and you're looking forward to getting back onto the practice field this week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, we take another look as James Holland sets quite a pace. This long touchdown run in the second quarter helped Colgate to hang with JMU as the Dukes were getting their offense going. We were close through the entire second, third, and fourth quarters, and the man who guided things for Colgate joins us now, the quarterback, Jake Melville. Jake, congratulations. A win in this environment. How'd you guys do it, and what does it mean for you?
We just came out and took it like any other game. We knew, big atmosphere, a lot of fans. It's something we're not really used to, but we had to come out, stay calm, execute the game plan, and that's what we did.
One of the things I was most impressed with you today, Jake, is you made a pretty ugly error in the second quarter, but I think some of the best football that came from you came after the error. Can you talk about sort of correcting yourselves and keeping your guys moving in the right direction?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a stupid decision, but after the play, my team kept picking me up and telling me they need me to keep my head in it. And the second half, the whole offense as a whole unit just came out firing on all cylinders. So I'm proud of everyone.
Well, you set a new personal rushing record today, going for 163 yards on 14 carries, 11.5 yards per carry. I know that was the game plan for both you and James and the rest of the running backs to control tempo. How did you guys do that?
Honestly, it starts with the line. I mean, when they're giving us big holes to run through, our lives are very easy. So they came out for 4 quarters and established a line of scrimmage, and we were just reading their blocks and making some plays.
Can you talk about the opportunity now to move on to the next round? I mean, this isn't the kind of thing you dream about. You just take them as they come, but you guys are advancing through this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, this is all we can ask for. Come down south a little bit, play a very good, nationally ranked team, and get the win. We're as happy as we can be.
All right, thanks so much, Jake, and congratulations. I know you're looking forward to getting back on the practice field now.
Absolutely.
All right, on to the quarterfinal round of the FCS Championship. That's Jake Melville, the quarterback at Colgate. 44-38 winners. Holland runs for a career-high 165. Melville nearly matches him with a career-high 163.
Yeah, what an incredible game on the ground. I mean, I enjoy football games like this. We got to see a lot of schematic, unusual stuff on the ground. Teams taking punches, giving punches, a lot of back and forth. The underdog in there invariably wins this thing, but it was a very competitive contest. Great FCS playoff game.
And so the winner will get, now Colgate will get either Sam Houston State or McNeese State. They will play tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. For Matt Chatham, I'm Doug Sherman saying so long from Bridgeforth Stadium, where the final score is 44-38 Colgate. To watch this entire game on replay as well as other games on the ESPN networks, go to watchespn.com. This has been a presentation of ESPN.